I have a brand new account and we're going to see how fast I can black border Monkey Meadow. The timer starts when I hit play for the first time and it will end when we beat every difficulty. Because it is my first time loading into the game, I had to go through the tutorial, but that was pretty quick as I just front loaded the track and we were done with it in just over 2 minutes. Plus, we unlocked the bomb shooter. Now, I basically didn't plan anything for this, I just knew that starting with the easier difficulties was the way to go so I could unlock higher tier upgrades for tough modes like Half Cash and Chimp. So we started on easy with Quincy and some dart monkeys. I wasn't sure how much I should front load the track since I had no upgrades, so I put Quincy in a safe spot by the loops and started spamming dart monkeys near the entrance. This worked very well with only a few Bloons making it to Quincy. Things were going great, but then we started unlocking towers and I was not prepared to pick them quickly. I panicked and chose the tack shooter, then the ice, boomerang, glue. Now, on the fly, I started placing down towers that I wanted experience on, while also trying to pop the Bloons as fast as possible. Luckily, we got the sniper next, and this was a huge help to popping the weak Bloons right away, even with unupgraded towers. But this hodgepodge of crossbows, snipers, and a few miscellaneous monkeys was enough to take down easy, and next was primary only. This was nice because I basically only had primary monkeys unlocked so far, and I wanted to get some more XP on them. I started by getting a dart monkey down for the early rounds, and then I'd work with a bomb shooter. I wanted to have recursive clusters for half cash, so I should probably start now. Then I got down a tack shooter because we'll want a tack zone for either unpoppable or chimps, and then I spammed some boomerangs as we all know that mob presses are incredibly strong, especially for how cheap they are. But this popped the mob pretty quick. We unlocked Gwendolyn, then I instantly equipped her and started medium standard. We skipped deflation because I wanted more upgrades for that, but something I overlooked was that we can't afford Gwen right away. So I plopped down 2 boomers near the loops and hit start. Unfortunately, I was on a roll of bad decisions as I put these guys too far back, wasting time with every round as it took a bit for the Bloons to get into their range. Oh well, chugging on was faster than restarting, so once I got red hot rangs on both of them, I put a dart at the beginning and saved up for a druid. Now, I knew that druids would be our best friend for this speedrun as druids of the jungle have global range and just plow through the early game. So I got 3 of them down to get experience faster. Moving on, I got some ninjas for extra camo popping power and got 2 bionic boomerangs to handle the tougher Bloons and mobs. We slowly upgraded the ninjas and also got down 2 cluster bombs for any rushes, especially ceramic ones. Things were going great, though we were still lacking on camo popping power and even got a scare on round 42, but we scraped by. Then we unlocked and placed the strongest tower in the game, the Alchemist. I obviously wanted stronger stim for later, so I got 2 of them down to accrue experience. And this is when we unlocked the recursive cluster, so I got both of my bomb shooters to 204s, and I knew that we had this difficulty locked down, so I could focus on experience for others. Just spend some more money on ninjas, snipers, and alchemists, and the future is looking bright. And we popped the BFB in a matter of seconds. Once again, we'll start with boomerangs. I'm used to these guys being absolute machines in the early game, but that's with the monkey knowledge point that lets the boomerangs loop twice. And because we don't have any monkey knowledge on this account, they've been pretty underwhelming, but good enough for now. Anyway, I put them close enough to the beginning to be fast, and then worked on getting a Wall of Fire Wizard, the other classic speedrunning tower. Next, I got Gwen on that straightaway and used her cocktail to pop the round 24 camo balloon. Then I got some ninjas for future camos, buffed them with an alchemist, and got down a druid of the jungle for even more speed. At this point, we were cooking through the rounds, but that is pretty easy to do when you're only going to round 60. I finally unlocked the village, which we'll be using in just about every run going forward, and I placed some recursive clusters in its range to handle anything tough. At this point, our only real weakness was not having much camo popping power at our disposal, so I rushed the radar scanner unlock even before getting jungle drums. I figured we already had the popping power and I wanted to cross out camos from our short list of lost conditions. Technically, losing on a difficulty wouldn't make us restart, but it wouldn't be much of a speedrun if we failed a difficulty and had to do it again. But with some Dragon's Breath wizards, we had more than enough popping power to beat round 60 pretty quick. Next was military only, and I made a huge mistake. I kept Gwen on, so the only start we could do was with snipers. And this started off very slow. But once we got 3 of them down, the round started going by pretty quick and even let us save up for Gwen. Then we got another sniper and upgraded one of them to a 1-2-0 so its shrapnel would shred the early rounds. And once we had enough money, I sold 2 of the snipers and made a remaining one into a faster shooting shrapnel sniper. This way we had plenty of crowd control, lead popping power, and camo detection for the coming rounds. But after a 3rd sniper, I figured it was time to work on the ace, especially since that is what I wanted to bring into deflation. But at about the same time that we got that down, we unlocked more sniper upgrades, so say hello to 2 shrapnel full auto snipers, 1 bouncing bullet sniper, and a single target full auto rifle set to strong. This way we'll be able to shred mob class Bloons and all the ceramics inside, and with that the BFB didn't stand a chance. Onto hard mode, we'll start with a boomer and dart monkey near the front, which worked great for round 3, but round 4 is low-key one of the hardest rounds in the game, and the last few Bloons actually made it pretty far, wasting precious time early on. But we upgraded our boomer and got 2 support snipers down, and we were flying through the rounds once again. Then we got down Gwen, upgraded our our dart to a crossbow for camo detection, and worked on a Druid of the Jungle, which is quickly becoming our go-to tower of the day. After that, I upgraded our snipers to a shrapnel line, gave one lead popping power, and gave the other two faster shooting. Then rounded out the trifecta by buffing them all with an alchemist. This was working great as the balloons were mostly getting popped off screen and gave me time to work on some village experience. Once that was down, I went and upgraded all of our snipers to bouncing bullets and started getting miscellaneous towers like ninjas and alchemists just to get their XP up. This was going great until the 50s when I realized that mob class balloons would give us some time problems. So I made a 204 sniper set to strong with the sole purpose of destroying that blimp layer. Then round 63 came. A usual round killer, but I was more worried about the time it would take to pop them. Luckily, it doesn't matter how long it takes us to pop the first 2 waves of ceramics because we'd be waiting for the rest of the balloons to spawn anyway. So I saved Gwen's level 10 ability for the last wave and headed into round 64 a few seconds faster than we would have with just a cocktail. Then in the late 70s, I wanted to see how fast a 205 elite defender would pop mob class balloons. So I sold 2 bouncing bullets and upgraded to our first tier 5 monkey on this account. It's funny because I rarely use this upgrade on my main, but we really rushed it for the speed run. Around this time, I got the stronger stim upgrade unlocked, which means I'd be ready for some harder modes pretty soon. But all I had to do was load the track with recursives and some tack shooters, and I knew we'd pop the ZOMG super fast. So fast, in fact, that the whole thing was covered by Nod Narb's raid, which I guess is one way to get into a video. Anyway, we unlocked Hbomb after that game, so it was the perfect time to load into Magic Monkeys only. Or so I thought. Because we aren't running any monkey knowledge or using powers, I was not able to start with Hbomb like I had planned, and instead I opted for a ninja for some silly reason. It was so silly that I was leaking on round 4, wasting our precious time. Already not a perfect run, but once again, restarting to use a druid would set us back even farther. So I just popped a few balloons on round 5 and was able to afford a druid to help us out. Pretty soon we got to the point where I could sell the ninja and get a druid of the jungle to speed up the rounds, and with the leftover money, I plopped down Hbomb and bought a new ninja closer to the entrance. Time to get this guy to a Bloon Jitsu and buff him with an alchemist, and this run is starting to look like one I would do on my main account. And it was at this point where Hbomb really started helping us out as he finally unlocked Wall of Trees, which I started placing as far forward as I could. This was super nice as it insta-popped tons of balloons while also giving us a bunch of extra money to spend on defenses. But the rest of this run was very straightforward. We got a Summon Phoenix Wizard to destroy the tough rounds, another ninja, a super monkey, and some pop plus druids just in case I want to get an Avatar of Wrath for chimps. After that, I kinda just spammed towers near the front to pop the balloons quickly, and just like that, Magic Monkeys Only has been completed. We rushed into double HP mobs, remembered the tough start from last game, and opted for a druid at the start of the loops. This and a dart monkey let us save all the way up for a druid of the jungle, and then we placed down Hbomb. This start has been our bread and butter, and I planned on running it until it stopped working. After that, it was time to get some tack shooters at the entrance because double HP mobs are tough to take down even when not speedrunning, so I wanted to get some overdrives up there, but didn't quite have the experience for them yet. Next was camo detection, so we upgraded a ninja to double shot, and everything was looking good. Now to get a cluster bomb, Bloon Jitsu, and a berserker brew, and it'll be time to take on round 40. I was pretty scared as this mob is super tanky, and most of my damage is at the front of the track and not by the loops, so I wasn't sure what to expect. Unfortunately, it did make it about halfway through the track, but we did manage to pop it and not leak at all. After that, I got a 3-2-0 village and another tack sprayer, preparing for that overdrive unlock. And after 2 recursive clusters, it was time to get some more ace XP as I wanted to bring a never miss into deflation for an easy win. Once again, I placed trees at the front of the track, and I got 2 mob press boomers to keep all the blimps near the front where all of my damage is. But even with those, reinforced mobs were getting farther than I'd like, so I upgraded a sniper to a 204 and made my ace a fighter pilot to pop those tough layers much faster. Now, it was clear that I wasn't going to get the overdrives at a reasonable time, so I just got down another ninja near the front, some bouncing bullet snipers for ceramics, and then I spent my extra money on tack shooters and ice monkeys as I'd like to run a super brittle tack zone on Impoppable. Though that would require a lot of experience, and I'm not sure if we'll make it there. Round 77 is when we finally unlocked our overdrive upgrade, and I upgraded them ASAP. These would have been super clutch for this run, and if I could do it over, I'd make sure to have them unlocked by the time I did double HP mobs. Nevertheless, they were super valuable for rounds 79 and 80, so I can't complain too much. And with that, double HP mobs has been beaten, so we're over halfway through the medals and only an hour and 19 minutes into the run. Not bad considering the world record is 2 hours and 15 minutes done by Frosty Mate, but with a full account and on a map with water. But now that we have enough upgrades, it was time to take on deflation. So I plopped down a 2-2-0 village, a never miss ace, a stronger stim alchemist, Hbomb, and a wall of fire wizard, and this handled deflation in about 5 minutes. Not bad at all. Now I had 3 options: half cash, apocalypse, or alternate balloon rounds. Now I knew I wasn't ready for half cash, and apocalypse is my kryptonite, so I hopped into ABR. I started with a druid and immediately regretted it as camos come on round 5, wasting tons of time. but we chugged along and I made sure to get a ninja down next. Now, all I had to do was get hard thorns on the druid and we'd have all of our bases covered. Normals, leads, and camos are all easily popped with this setup, and let me save up for Hbomb. Now, I really wanted to get a Druid of the Jungle, but I figured upgrading the Ninja and getting a 1-2-0 Sniper was a safer bet, especially with that nasty camo lead that comes in round 24. And you know I went for a Druid of the Jungle right after. Now to just get a Bloon Jitsu and a Berserker Brew, and it looks like a pretty standard run. The problem was that I was just struggling to stay alive, so my pace was not very good through this difficulty so far, but that was about to change. I got a Mob Mauler near the start, set it to strong, and we popped that fortified mob in a surprisingly short amount of time. But it was time to focus on speed. So I placed a Wall of Fire Wizard on top of the track and an Overdrive on bottom. This will absolutely shred most mobs and bloons upon entering this beautiful Monkey Meadow. Speaking of overdrives, might as well get another one up for more mob popping power, and we'll pair it with a bouncing bullet sniper that'll handle the ceramics. Absolutely beautiful. This is right when we unlocked Wall of Trees, so you know I put those up front, and I placed down an Ice Monkey in hopes of getting an embrittlement for even more damage. But after that, I didn't know what to do, so I just placed down another overdrive and then buffed them all with a 3-2-0 primary training village. It seemed like a reasonable thing to do, and one might say that it worked wonderfully. Next, I upgraded the sniper to a main mob to keep the BFBs and future ZOMG in range of the overdrive so we can hastily shred these outer layers. But that was really all we needed. I got some miscellaneous support, but we kind of just coasted to round 80 where we tore apart the ZOMG. On to half cash, which some say is harder than chimps, especially when you have no monkey knowledge like I do. But the real question is, how fast can we beat it? I started with just a dart monkey, and I knew I had to put it in a normal spot and not at the very start of the track. And even with good positioning, we still leaked 14 lives in round 4. Luckily, this gave us enough money for another dart monkey, and we were actually handling the rounds just fine. Fast forward several rounds, and we placed Hbomb right below them. Pretty confident in handling the rounds, I sold the dart monkeys and replaced them with a tack shooter, as I wanted an overdrive in that specific spot for mob popping power later on. And although it was never smooth sailing or particularly fast, I'd say it was a decent track to a tack sprayer and a bomb shooter with no real moments of panic, especially since we could throw down brambles at any point to help out. But it was round 32 when I remembered that we had quite a few camo bloons to pop soon, yet none of our towers could see them. Oops. So I got down a dart monkey and gave him those magical red wristbands that allow you to see camos, and this was just in time as round 33 was popped with a combination of him and some brambles. Then I made him a crossbow and we had all our bases covered. Camos, leads, purples, you name it. So I upgraded our bomb shooter to a cluster bomb just for some rush defense, and then started worrying about the round 40 mob. There really wasn't much we could do at this point, so I placed an ace and started to pray that we don't leak a ton of bloons and have to start over. And bang, we popped the final few bloons on the last pass before the exit. Absolutely calculated. Now we need 3 things for the 40s and up: much more camo detection, some more ceramic defense, and more mob popping power. Camos took priority because some thick rounds are coming soon, so I got down a radar scanner. Pretty expensive, but worth the reliability, and I'll be getting jungle drums later on anyway. Next was more mob popping power, so I saved up until round 49 where I could finally afford an overdrive tack shooter in that beautiful spot where the dart monkeys were back at the beginning of this run. What's funny is at this point you can see that I had tons of upgrades ready to be unlocked, but I was focused on going as fast as possible. So even though these upgrade icons annoyed me very much, I tuned them out as much as possible to save a few seconds. But at this point, I upgraded the ace to a never miss and gladly accepted that global popping power into our lineup. Now to buff it with an alchemist and then place Hbomb's trees at the start of the track, and we were actually sitting pretty. We just had to worry about round 63, but it's nothing a recursive cluster and a primary training village can't handle, right? Right. That plus trees gave us enough money for another cluster bomb to put this round away, and the overdrive took care of round 64 as it popped the outer layers of the blimps on the first pass, and there's not much more you can ask from an overdrive. But this carried us basically through the rest of the run. I got a Wall of Fire Wizard up front in hopes of shaving off a few seconds over the next 10 rounds, and I upgraded it to a Necromancer. No real reason there, just for fun and prepping to get a Prince of Darkness in a different game mode. And then I got a Bouncing Bullet Sniper for some extra cleanup, and it was more than enough to take out the ZOMG. And just like that, half cash has been beaten, meaning we only have 3 medals left and we're on to Apocalypse. The difficulty that I normally struggle with, but I also find incredibly enjoyable when hunting for black borders. Anyway, because it has medium prices, we could start with Hbomb, and after playing half cash, my brain was stuck in placing monkeys in normal spots, so unfortunately Hbomb is by the loops and not the beginning, costing us a good amount of time. Next, I got a ninja down for those early camos and made sure that brambles was always being used. Then I placed our most used monkey of this challenge, a Druid of the Jungle. Now we're cruising through the rounds, and I learned something new. A 030 Druid's Vine will remove the regrow property from leads that pass over it, even when it can't pop them directly. The more you know. Now to get a 1-2-0 sniper for more global popping power and camo detection, and then I upgraded the ninja to a 3-0 302 double shot. We were sitting pretty solid, popping just about everything before they even came on the screen, which is exactly what we needed. We followed this up with a classic Berserker Brew Bloon Jitsu combo, and then got a 2-2-0 village to buff all of our monkeys. I was pretty confident that we'd be set for a while, so I started to get some engineer and farm XP as I really wanted to run a Bloon Trap and Banana Banks in Impoppable, and we had almost no experience on these two so far. Then the 50s came. By far the hardest part of Apocalypse, as tons of fortified mobs come out of nowhere and are followed by a slew of difficult bloons to pop like camo leads. But I upgraded my sniper to a main mob to lock up the dub. I know that it did slow us down by a few seconds, as most of our damage was not at the very front of the track where things were getting stunned, but it was definitely worth guaranteeing the win. Then I just sold the farms and got up a bouncing bullet sniper for some global cleanup and placed Hbom's trees, and we were off to Impoppable. Here I opted for the super safe double dart start. This manhandles the early rounds, and to speed things up I even got a third one down, which easily let us save up for Hbom. Now, I did have a plan in mind for this run, so I sold the dart monkeys to be able to fit Hbom and a druid exactly where I wanted them. Obviously, I got a druid of the jungle and then moved into a Bloon Jitsu Berserker Brew combo again. This has become our standard start, but what would Impoppable be without farming? Correct, it would be boring. So I got down an engineer in the hopes of making it a Bloon Trap, as that'd make us some good money while also cruising through the rounds. Unfortunately, I still didn't have enough experience on him, so we'll be waiting for that upgrade to be unlocked. While we're waiting, I started traditional farming over on the right side. I knew that we had plenty of defenses not only to beat the rounds, but do so in a timely manner, so this was a pretty safe play that'll help us later on. And pretty soon we actually unlocked Banks, which was a nice surprise as I wasn't expecting that for a while. Unfortunately, we still didn't have the XP for a Bloon Trap, so I had to get a stronger stim and a village to keep us plowing through the rounds, and we managed to get a bank on round 50. The sad thing is that they're much worse without monkey knowledge, as they cap out at $7,000 instead of $9,500. But round 50 opened my eyes to how far mob class Bloons would get through this setup. Not far enough to worry me about losing, but far enough to justify more defenses as it's taking us too long to pop them. So I did the most Monkey Meadow thing I could think of, a popless druid strat. I placed down 6 more druids, got a couple of them to 0-1-4s, went back to make our second farm a bank, then made all of my druids of wrath into popless. Here I finally accepted the fact that the Bloon Trap would not be too helpful, so I sold the engineer to get our other towers up and running faster. Now we have tons of defense with these popless, but we need to save up a ton of money to upgrade our druids into a Spirit of the Forest and or an Avatar of Wrath. So naturally I got 2 more banks to speed up this process, and on round 80 I collected from them all and was able to purchase a Spirit of the Forest. I actually had enough to get an Avatar of Wrath, but I figured the global vines would pop the rounds faster, especially since the Avatar would have been by the loops and not the very beginning of the track. After this, I got a few ice monkeys down to try to unlock embrittlement, I got a tag zone up front, and on round 91, I sold my banks and made my alchemist a perma-brew. This is super nice as it let me get my village all the way to a primary expertise, which made our tax zone an absolute beast. And with that, we took down Impoppable and got our first insta-monkey for our troubles. And that means we only have 1 difficulty left for that succulent black border. Probably my favorite game mode, chimps. I was hoping that we'd have enough monkey money to afford Sada for this, as she's a speed running master, but after 13 difficulties, we're only about halfway to being able to afford her. Oh well, we'll keep running with our main man, Hbom. But at the start of the run, I had a big decision. Do I start with several dart monkeys and get annoyed with them later on because we can't sell anything, or do I roll the dice, be an absolute mad lad, and start with a monkey that I'd like to keep for the entire run? Obviously, I chose the latter and started with a ninja and placed him in the loop. And although one bloon got really close to leaking on round 7, we pulled through and purchased Ninja Discipline, which is one of the best upgrades in the game in my eyes. Now safe and sound, I upgraded our ninja, placed Hbom right below him, and got a 0-2-2 sniper down, as I made a promise to chat for this run. I have to get an elite sniper and a Prince of Darkness. Normally, I'd only get one of those down and use the rest of the money on towers that'll destroy rounds 98 and 100, but this little challenge will make the ending much cooler. Anyway, I purchased Bloon Jitsu, Stronger Stimulant, placed a Jungle Drums Village, and then got a 2-2-0 sniper set to strong. My plan was to make this guy into a main mob and then make our other one into an elite sniper, but chat reminded me that we have no damage up front, so the stalling would be great for winning, but absolutely atrocious for speedrunning. Thanks guys, you're always looking out for me. Anyway, I panicked and made it into a 2-3-0 bouncing bullet, which I immediately regretted, but there was no going back. Luckily, this was more than enough defense to get my other sniper up to a 0-5-2, which dismantled the balloon. From here, I wanted to get a Prince of Darkness down, but it was clear that we needed more mob popping power if we were going to do this in a decent time. So I audibled after making the wizard a necromancer and placed down a tack shooter. I got this guy all the way to attack zone, put an ice monkey right in front of it with the intent of making an embrittlement once we have the experience, and I I gave it camo detection with the village. I found it pretty funny that we didn't need this reliable of camo detection until now, as most of our damage dealers have built-in camo detection, but I certainly wanted our attack zone to always see camos, especially with the DDTs coming up. But this let me save all the way up for a Prince of Darkness, and then I got a mib on round 89, just in time for the DDTs that come in the 90s. If you didn't know any better, you might even think that I planned it. Next, it was actually time for a main mob, because we do have some damage up front now, and at this point, the benefits it brings to the table far outweigh the few seconds that it might cost us. Following this, I got down an Unstable Concoction Alchemist up front to help pop blimp heavy rounds like 96 and 98. And at this point, I wasn't too worried, but all of my anxiety washed away when I saw how easily we handled round 95. It looks like our slew of cheap tier 5 towers is working out after all. With that round down and us shredding round 96, I was pretty confident, but there was one thing we still needed. An Embrittlement Ice Monkey, as it'll make round 100 go by that much faster. So I got down a few more Ice Monkeys to speed up the experience gain, and also got down a Glue Gunner, because it would have been a crime if I never placed one throughout this entire challenge. But on round 98, we finally got Embrittlement and made the Ice Monkey up front a 4-2-0. And with that, we popped the bat on the second pass, destroyed the innards, got awarded a beautiful Banana Farm Insta-Monkey, and got that black border. Now, I didn't stop the timer right away, but upon review, my time was a little over 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 2 seconds, which is fast enough for 6th place, even though I did this with a fresh account. I have a brand new account, and we're going to see how fast I can beat the boss. The timer starts when I hit play, and it'll end when we pop the tier 5 Dreadbloon. Because it's my first time booting up the game, we had to go through the tutorial. I front-loaded the track with dart monkeys to pop the balloons as fast as possible, and I learned a little trick since last time. Once you put down Quincy, you can exit to home, leaving the tutorial early, so it only took us about a minute to complete. Next, we have to beat a beginner map on hard. This will give us a good amount of experience, as well as letting us play on harder maps in the future. So we booted up Cubism, hit play, and instantly turned hints off and auto start on. This will save us a ton of time going forward, as there are a surprising amount of hints that Bloons gives you when you're first starting out. Because we have almost no experience on our monkeys, I started off with Quincy in the center of the map. Not the fastest play, but he'll be able to beat the early rounds all on his own. After Quincy, we got down a dart monkey and a tack shooter to help out. Not only are they our only 2 unlocked monkeys at this point, but they will also be super important for future runs. The dart monkey will allow us to take on harder maps to earn more experience, and the tack shooters will upgrade into overdrives to help us speedrun maps as they tear mobs apart, and eventually we'll get a tack zone, which is essential to our Dreadbloon strategy. Knowing this, I spammed tack shooters. At first, I put them near Quincy to make sure we cleared the rounds, but it became apparent that we'd beat them no problem. So we started loading the front of the track with tack shooters and upgrading them as fast as possible, working towards 204 overdrives. Round 28 was coming up, which means our first lead balloon. The easiest and fastest way to deal with them was placing a bomb shooter up front and setting it to strong. This did pretty well, as only a few balloons will get past the start of the map, and we'd plenty of backup in the center to clean them up. The next challenge was camo balloons, but Quincy was a high enough level to see them, and we had enough experience on our dart monkey to upgrade it to a 002 to help out. After a few more upgrades to the tack shooters up front, I got down a sniper monkey. We will need a surprising amount of XP on this guy for Dreadbloon, as no farms were allowed this week, meaning we'll have to farm with snipers, boats, and heli pilots. So we might as well start getting XP on him early, especially since he makes for a great speedrunner. I was hoping we could pick up night vision goggles on him before Quincy needed help with camos, but there just wasn't enough time. So we plopped down some more 012 dart monkeys, and that did the trick. This brought us to round 40, where we had tons of money, but not much to spend it on, as I was waiting on experience to unlock some upgrades. Unfortunately, I should have spent this money upgrading the tack shooters in the middle of the track, as the mob got pretty far, wasting our precious time. Nevertheless, we popped it without leaking, which is always a good sign. At this time, we got enough XP to unlock overdrive and the crossbow. The first will let us power through the rounds quickly, and the second will give us the extra camo popping power that we need for the mid game. Now we just had to spam both of these to beat the rounds, and then it was time to get some boat XP for early game Dreadbloon farming. This brought us to round 59, where we got enough XP on our tack shooter to unlock our first tier 5 upgrade on this account, the tack zone. The timing could not have been better, as we needed some better upgrades if we were going to have a chance against round 63, and we got just enough money to buy it on round 62. Unfortunately, this heavy upgrade is going to take most of the XP going forward, as it's split by how much money you've spent on each tower, and we don't need any more tack shooter upgrades. So we need to spend the rest of our money on monkeys that we might use against Dreadbloon. The two that came to mind were the Bomb Shooter and the Alchemist. The Bomb Shooter can do great damage to boss balloons if we make it all the way to an eliminator, and all three of the Alchemist paths will be useful. The top path amplifies the damage of surrounding towers as well as letting them pop lead balloons. The middle path's total transformation will give us tons of damage if used correctly, and the bottom path's lead to gold is incredible for farming as extra lead balloons spawn when fighting Dreadbloon. So the current checklist for XP includes alchemists, snipers, boats, and if we have leftovers, we can farm Bomb Shooter experience. At the same time, we need to balance managing the XP split with speedrunning the map, and because we have a limited amount of upgrades unlocked at this point, we are forced to play some overdrives at the start of the track. My hope was that this increased speed will be worth giving a smaller percentage of the experience to other monkeys. Anyway, this brought us to round 80, where we popped our first ZOMG only 16 minutes and 41 seconds into the run, and with that, we unlocked the Monkey Village. On to the next map, which will be Carts and Darts, the easiest intermediate map in the game. The reason we want to jump into intermediate maps right now is because they provide 10% more tower experience than beginner ones. Once again, we booted up hard mode and hit play, placing Quincy in a very safe spot to ensure that we'd pop the entire round. Next, we got down a Dart Monkey and Tack Shooter at the start of the map to start speeding up this process. After a few upgrades, we were dealing with the rounds pretty quick, though a few balloons would sneak through from time to time, hurting our speed run. To deal with this, we got a sniper and a few druids down, as they are both great for plowing through the rounds, and we still need a ton of XP on both of them. This brought us to round 38, where I upgraded all the druids to 102s so they could help pop the lead balloons right away, and we still had enough money to get an overdrive to pop their own 40 mob. Everything was going great, and we were able to pop it without leaking any balloons, though the innards did make it pretty far along the track. After that, we unlocked Bouncing Bullet and made our sniper a 230. Not the best cross path, but it will help out a ton with camos and overall damage. Now, the only thing we were lacking was single target damage, so we got another sniper and upgraded it to a 203. These are great for the mid game, especially for damaging tanky balloons like blimps. I made sure to set it to strong so it'd take down any mob class balloons that the overdrive missed. Now to get some more bouncing bullets, but this time I made them 032s and buffed them with an alchemist. These have way more crowd control, which is exactly what we needed, as group ceramics are what's slowing us down the most. This carried us until the late 50s, where we upgraded the druids to Druids of Wrath and we unlocked the supply drop ability. I figured this would be an excellent way for us to farm, as this upgrade provides a jump and popping power that'll let us keep trucking through the rounds, as well as giving the sniper a larger percentage of the XP. And later in the run, we should have plenty of money to destroy the rounds quickly, even though we don't have that many upgrades unlocked yet. The plan is to win with money, not with upgrades. This brought us to round 63, which got pretty far, but there was no risk of leaking. Additionally, we unlocked the full auto rifle upgrade, which will help us pop any BFBs or reinforced mobs coming our way. This is also when we started to feel the extra money from the supply drops, so we picked up an overdrive and sharpshooter to speed us up. Next, it was time to get some village experience, one of the most important towers in the game, especially for Dreadbloon. We'll need jungle drums and monkey intelligence bureau at the bare minimum, so I got 2 of them down. While trying to get enough XP for jungle drums, our lone alchemist finally got enough experience to unlock Berserker Brew, which will take our supply drop snipers to the next level. This upgrade was enough to let us beat Carts and Darts quickly, so we started spamming Druids of Wrath with our leftover money, giving us the XP to unlock the Druid of the Jungle, a monkey that we'll be using to speedrun harder maps in a little bit. But this brought us to round 79, where we unlocked the Elite Sniper, our second tier 5 monkey that I really wanted before taking on Dreadbloon. And with him, we were able to pop the ZOMG in just a few seconds. Beating this map unlocked the Dartling Gunner as well as Cornfield, the advanced map that we'll be beating next. Once again, I started with Quincy and hit play, though this time I opted for an engineer to help him out. Now, I really wanted to get some balloon traps and ideally an overclock engineer for the boss battle, but I just don't think there will be that much XP to go around before we start the fight. So once we had enough money, I sold the engineer to get a 130 Druid of the Jungle. This was especially needed on this map because of how long it takes the balloons to get from the entrance to our monkeys, wasting precious time. Because of this, we need more global monkeys to pop the balloons at the very start. Enter the Heli Pilot. Perfect for Cornfield, we plopped him down and locked him at the start of the track. Because he costs so much and we're playing on an advanced map, he rapidly started leveling up, getting quad shots in pursuit in just 4 rounds, which is perfect as we'll need support Chinooks to farm during the boss battle. At this time, we saw our first golden balloon, which is pretty unfortunate as it'll distract our monkeys from time to time, but we should be okay. If they awarded more monkey money, we'd try to pop them as we need $3,000 to afford Benjamin, but they're just not worth the hassle and time at this point, so we'll just let them leak. The only thing slowing us down now were camo balloons. So we put down a ninja as he has built-in camo detection and will be needing sticky bomb for Dreadbloon. Next, we got a village so we could buff our helipad with jungle drums and eventually raid our scanner once we unlock it. This brought us to round 40, where the mob got pretty far. so we got down a Berserker Brew Alchemist for extra popping power to prevent this in the future. Then, right as I got scared of camos on round 42, we unlocked Radar Scanner, rounding out our defenses perfectly. Now it was time to get Dartling XP, so we removed the corn on the left and placed a Dartling Gunner down bottom, aiming him at the entrance. This won't do much as he has no upgrades, but if we can get some XP on him, he can make the rounds much shorter. In the meantime, we'll get 2 Bouncing Bullet Snipers, buffed by a Berserker Brew to keep our time low. This worked great for grouped balloons, but we are still struggling against MOB class balloons as they were making it all the way to Quincy. To handle this, we got down a 203 Sniper set to Strong. This was popping the blimps before they turned the corner, letting our Bouncing Bullets take care of the rest, speeding up the rounds by quite a bit. At this time, we also upgraded our ninjas to get more XP and buffed them with an Alchemist. If it came down to it, nothing was getting past them. Then, in the 60s, we unlocked 2 huge upgrades, Stronger Stimulant and the Monkey Intelligence Bureau, both of which will be crucial to future runs and popping Dreadbloon. So we upgraded our Sniper Alchemist to a 401, and then we unlocked the Elite Defender upgrade on round 71, our 3rd tier 5 upgrade of the day. Naturally, we saved up for this and coasted through the rest of the run, bringing our total to 3 hard modes beaten in just under 47 minutes. This gave us 600 monkey money, bringing our total to $2,030, about 66% of the way to Benjamin. Luckily, a Yashmanayu brought up the Keep Up with Biker Bones race quest that awards 500 monkey money once completed. This only took 2 minutes for us to do as we combined overdrives and cluster bombs, and it got us that much closer to Benjamin. Next up was Dark Castle, the easiest expert map in the game. This will give us tons of experience on our monkeys, but I didn't want to risk losing, so I set the difficulty to medium. If we didn't have to optimize for getting certain monkeys XP, we could have beaten it on hard, but I didn't want to risk wasting time by accidentally dying. So we started with Quincy and saved up for a Buccaneer. Once down, I felt pretty good, especially since we already had the XP for Grape Shot. Next, we got down 2 subs as we'll need some airburst darts to beat rounds 40 and 60, and then we got a ninja to work towards unlocking Sticky Bomb. We made this ninja a 302 to beat the early rounds, and this let us save all the way up for a Merchant Man on round 31. A greedy play, but as long as we don't die, we'll be able to use this extra money to beat the rounds quickly. Right after this purchase, we unlocked advanced intel and airburst darts on our submarines, leaving them with only 2 experience left over, which was crazy as no planning went into these runs at all. Now, I really wanted to upgrade these submarines, but getting XP on the Dartling Gunner took priority, so we put him down in one of the coolest spots in the game, the top of the castle, and had him fire straight down the path. At this point, we could start to feel the extra income from our Merchant Man, and we were able to get 2 airburst dart subs with advanced intel on round 37. Now to buff them with an Alchemist and give them vision of the top path to pop the MOB. I thought this would be plenty, but we ended up leaking a few balloons. Luckily, it wasn't enough to kill us, and this map is so short that not much time was wasted. Overall, not a big deal, but scary nonetheless. Because of this scare, we got triple guns and jungle drums on the subs just to make sure we could handle the rounds, and then we spent some more money on the Dartling Gunner, making it a 220. Now, we should be fine until round 50, so we bought another Merchantman to make some money and unlock more of its bottom path. This is also when we unlocked Sticky Bomb, so we no longer need to worry about getting XP on the ninjas. This means our next priority is the Mad and possibly the Flying Fortress, as never miss darts will be nice for speedrunning, and any tiers after that will provide solid boss damage. So we upgraded our Dartling Gunner to a Hydra Rocket Pods and placed down a Monkey Ace. It was here where I realized we never got the Avatar of Wrath upgrade, so we also got down a few Poplas to help out with the final 2 rounds of Dark Castle. This gave us just enough money to buy Benjamin, but there's no way that we have enough upgrades unlocked to take down the tier 5 boss. Now, we're already an hour in and running out of time, so I did the risky play of booting Dark Castle back up, but this time on hard. I started with the standard dart sub and hit play, getting a second sub the moment I could. This handled the early game just fine, letting us upgrade one of them to a 201 and then saving up for Quincy. Next, we got down a 130 Druid of the Jungle. This isn't the best map for him as there are 4 different entrances, but I wanted some global lead popping power as well as farming XP for the Avatar of Wrath. Then we did just about the same thing to round 40. I got 2 airburst subs buffed by a Berserker Brew and jungle drums to take out the MOB. This, combined with Quincy's rapid shot ability, was more than enough to take this thing down, and we could move on to getting more XP. We got a Merchantman so we could afford to upgrade the subs as well as getting down a Dartling Gunner. Obviously, we put him on top of the wall and sent his darts straight down the path again. We then got a 203 and a 032 sniper down by the village and upgraded the Alchemist to a 401 Stronger Stimulant. I thought this would be enough to take on round 63, but after using Quincy's abilities on the first 2 rushes, it was clear that we needed some more oomph for the third. Panicking, we sold a sniper and upgraded the Dartling Gunner to a Rocket Storm, but the ability ability did not come off cooldown in time, forcing us to exit to home and load back in to give round 63 another try. This wasted some time, but is well worth the tower experience we'll get from the next 17 rounds. For the first ceramic rush, we used Quincy's rapid shot, then we sold a sniper and merchantman to afford the rocket storm. While that ability was coming off cooldown, we used storm of arrows to take out the second rush, and then rocket storm handled the third. Additionally, we made enough money from popping the balloons to get our merchantmen back down, making us some extra money once again. This was a hectic round 63, and round 64 wasn't much easier, but that is the nature of speedruns like this, especially when you're winging it the entire time. But oddly enough, that was just about enough to beat Dark Castle. We got a couple more subs, another rocket storm, and some miscellaneous upgrades, but we just plowed through the rounds and unlocked the Avatar of Wrath in the process. Back at the home screen, I picked up a few monkey knowledge perks to give us an edge, but I didn't know what ones to get, so I wasted a little time and basically grabbed at random. I was hoping that Twitch chat would help me out for what ones to get, but they let me down like usual. At this point, we've already checked most of our needed upgrades off the list. We have Ben, the Tax Zone, Mib, Sticky Bomb, Avatar of Wrath, Stronger Stimulant, Elite Sniper, Elite Defender, and we are super close to the Trade Empire. Now all that's really left are the Mad, Super Brittle, PMFC, Total Transformation, and Overclock upgrades. If we get all of these, I think we could win very easily, but that'd be playing it safe and take way too much time. There is one upgrade that we need, however, and it's the Mad. I won't bore you with our final XP run, but there was one funny part. Nat surprised me with a Dairy Queen Blizzard, which I obviously had to eat right away. The only thing is that it had melted a bit on the drive home, so when I took off the lid, ice cream went everywhere. I desperately ate some while trying to play balloons, but my hands were covered in chocolatey goodness, so I couldn't do much. I ended up pausing so I could rinse my hands while Nat and Kramer entertained chat. After that, I got the blizzard under control and the run continued. We probably wasted a few minutes with the mess, but it was well worth it. Anyway, the rest of the run was pretty standard. Just know that we unlocked the Mad, got tons of ace experience, and it only took us about 16 minutes to do so. Finally, an hour and a half in, we can take on Dreadbloon and attempt to pop all 5 of his tiers. We started with a submarine in the top middle and saved up for Benjamin. We really needed to start farming early as boss events are money intensive and we don't have the monkey knowledge that I'm used to when completing these challenges. So after Benjamin, we rushed a merchantman, selling the submarine in the process. The nice thing about merchantmen is that saving up for them is very easy, as they defend against the early rounds well with Grape Shot. On round 17, we were able to afford the Merchantman upgrade, making us more money each round, and we saved straight up for another, getting our second 013 Buccaneer on round 23. This timing was phenomenal as it let us get a lead to gold alchemist for round 26. If you didn't know, Dreadbloon turns zebra balloons into leads for the entire run, so lead to gold alchemist can make you absurd amounts of cash, especially in the early game. With this guy up front, we never had to worry about lead to golds getting popped some other way, and it will let us get a rubber to gold alchemist in a great spot in the future. Back to merchantmen farming, we filled the pools with 8 of them by round 38. Now we could get some portable lakes and speed this up, but we're doing a no powers or instant monkey speedrun, as I think that makes it a bit more fun. Now for our first encounter with Dreadbloon on this account. I purchased a 104 Sticky Bomb Ninja up front, and it destroyed the first 2 layers of Dreadbloon, but the rock balloons were giving us some trouble. They have tons of health and were immune to military monkeys, which were basically our only damage dealers at the time. So I got a 204 tack shooter to help deal with them, and once the ninja took Dreadbloon down to the second skull, the tack shooter took out this new ceramic layer to stop the spawning of the rock balloon. At this point, the ninja couldn't help as everything was immune to magic monkeys, but the sniper we picked up in the middle of the fight started to take over. It cleaned up any rock balloons left on screen and then worked on Dreadbloon, bringing him down pretty quick. We then moved the overdrive to a better spot and took out the first tier at the end of round 46. He took quite some time to pop, but we kept all of our merchantmen through the fight, which made us tons of money, enough to where we could unlock and afford a trade empire after selling a few things. From here, we made all of our boats flavored trades and started our sniper farming adventure. I got a 202 village and a 042 sniper to start us off. Unfortunately, this will steal some pops from our lead to gold alchemist, but the support crates are well worth it. At this point, it was round 57, so I got down a 205 elite defender. This guy is an absolute unit for single target damage and will help out a ton against the boss, especially once we buff it with an elite sniper. Round 60 started, and with it came the tier 2 boss. On top of the sniper, I also picked up a sticky bomb ninja to get us through the first skull. Then, once Dreadbloon was immune to military monkeys, we got a tack zone to plow through the ceramic layer, as these rocky balloons are even scarier than the last bunch. Man, would it have been nice to have a super brittle or glue storm for some extra damage, but we were a bit XP poor, so an AMD alchemist will have to do. This was just enough to get to the second skull and make Dreadbloon immune to magic monkeys, and this is where it got tricky. Round 63 started, and there were leftover rock balloons that were immune to military monkeys. So if the elite defender was on first or strong, its attacks would be wasted on these rocky boys, meaning we did not have a good way of hurting Dreadbloon, and on top of this, we had massive round 63 rushes heading our way. And because it was a speed run, I left fast forward on the whole time, not giving us much time to think about it. Luckily, we had 200 lives, so we opted not to buy new monkeys and instead leak the rock balloons that were military immune. This gave our elite defender crazy attack speed, which cleaned up the rushes and did great damage to Dreadbloon, eventually taking out the ceramic layer in round 64. At this point, we got enough money to purchase an elite sniper, adding even more DPS to our lineup, and we moved the attack zone down to where it could help out. This worked wonderfully, letting us pop the tier 2 boss, and everything down there was in range of the extra sellback that flavored trades bucks provide. Round 65 ended, and this was the rare exception to the speedrun where I turned auto start off as we had a ton of money and needed to place our snipers down ASAP. We got as many supply drops as possible, all in range of a 204 Monkey City village. This week's boss event limited us to 15 snipers, so we had 13 supply drops, an elite sniper, and an elite defender down there by the mid 70s. After that, we buffed them with some stronger stimulant alchemists and got our first support Chinook, as that is what we'll be using to farm next. For the tier 3 boss, we got down an Avatar of Wrath buffed by Populus, an alchemist, and a Mib. And a little farther down the track, we got a tack zone to do some damage once it's not immune to primary monkeys anymore. This shredded the first 2 skulls, but the Avatar of Wrath was most of our damage, and once Dreadbloon was immune to magic monkeys, our progress slowed significantly. To get around this, we sold all of the druids and used that money to purchase a Mad, the last upgrade that I made sure to grind experience for. And the second we bought this, we started chunking through the skulls once again and took out the tier 3 boss just like that. Time to sell our damage dealers and get down 10 support Chinooks all in range of a Monkey City. After we got these down, there wasn't much else to farm with, so we just prepared for the 4th tier. We got an Avatar of Wrath, Call to Arms, a Spectre, Mad, Tack Zone, and even a Permabrew Alchemist. Now, I really wanted to unlock the Ray of Doom, so I got down a Plasma Accelerator, but we knew this probably wasn't going to happen. And during this fight, I was using the support Chinooks to fly our Permabrew around the map, buffing every tower that we have, as this tier 5 fight will be a doozy. We didn't have any other farming options that we wanted to place down, so we could prep for the tier 5 encounter while auto-playing the rounds, saving us quite a bit of time. And how did we prepare? Overdrives. Lots and lots of overdrives. These were all buffed by the Permabrew, making them insane damage dealers, but man did it make me wish we had unlocked Super Brittle or Glue Storm. Additionally, we sold all the boats and replaced them with First Strike submarines, a great upgrade that we unlocked due to our Dark Castle adventures. Round 120 came, and with it, the final boss appearance. All this, and we were barely killing the boss. We did have $250,000 left over, but we didn't have any other tier 5 monkeys unlocked to spend it on. So we just prayed that the overdrive spam would be enough. It was looking alright, but Dreadbloon became military immune right as he entered the bottom right, which was the only place not loaded with overdrives, as there's a pool of water there. Our progress slowed immensely, but one idea changed this. We support Chinooked our Avatar of Wrath down bottom and purchased a few more Populus Druids to buff them. This took out the ceramic layer and finally stopped those rock balloons from spawning. Then we flew the Avatar back up to the middle as Dreadbloon was floating back into his normal range. It took a while, but we finally got through the military immunity with him almost 50% of the way through the track. Our nerves were high, especially as the natural balloon rounds were getting tougher and tougher, but magic and support monkeys were our least damaging types, so we had a chance. Once again, Dreadbloon was entering an area with only a few overdrives, but that rocky shield was still depleting rapidly, and because everything was permabrewed, we did not care about his lead layer. We got to the final skull and shredded through the ceramic armor as we did not care about support immunity. Dreadbloon turned into the thickest spot of overdrives in the entire map, and as he made his final turn, we purchased a primary mentoring village just to let Dreadbloon know that he was going down. We popped his 5th and final tier with a time of 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 54 seconds. We're going to see how fast I can beat the boss. The timer starts when I hit play for the first time, and it ends when we pop Bloonarius' 5th tier. We booted up the game and headed straight into the tutorial. This normally takes 2 to 3 minutes, but there's a little trick where you can skip most of it by exiting to home after you place Quincy. So we got out of the tutorial only 1 minute into the run. Next, we just had to focus on getting as much experience as possible. We need to unlock tons of upgrades if we're going to take down the boss, and we also want to get as high of a level as possible so we can afford to pick up some monkey knowledge points. Instantly, we jumped into Monkey Meadow on hard. This was pretty scary as I wasn't sure if we'd have the firepower to beat the final few rounds, but it was worth a shot. Normally, we just take down easy or medium, but the extra rounds that are in hard mode provide a ton of extra experience that we'd miss out on otherwise. To help with this, I started off the game by placing our hero in a super safe spot. This cleared the first wave and let us place down a dart monkey and then a boomerang. We put these two a little farther up the track, but still in decent spots to clean up any bloon that got by the first pass. It was at this point that we started unlocking upgrades for our monkeys. I had forgotten how much fun it is to see those green icons, as it's awesome to unlock new tiers for your monkeys, so I tried to enjoy it as much as possible instead of only focusing on speed. With that in mind, we did have to balance waiting to unlock upgrades with the popping power they provide. You see, every time we go into the upgrade menu, the game pauses, wasting time, so we tried to wait until we needed the new upgrade to keep up our speed, and then we'd unlock 2 or 3 upgrades at once. This didn't always work, but it's what I was going for. At level 3, we unlocked the bomb shooter, which was the first monkey we put up front. This was mostly for the future leads that come on round 28, but it'll be nice for future rushes and Moab class balloons. I was excited to continue front loading the track to speed up our run, but the early 20s made it clear that we couldn't get away with that. So we went back to Quincy's area and started placing down some boomerangs for more popping power and some dart monkeys for future camos, as we don't have a good way of dealing with those yet. This worked surprisingly well, and on round 30 we finally got enough experience to unlock our first tier 3 upgrade of the day, the bionic boomerang. This tier 3 will drastically increase our DPS and hopefully speed up the round. So we placed 2 new boomers up front, sold a few towers, and made them 0-3-2s. That way they were strong against leads and Moabs, while Quincy and his supporting cast of dart monkeys could handle the camo. Speaking of which, on round 36 we were able to unlock 3 upgrades for them, letting us make each dart monkey a 0-2-3 crossbow, making them much better just in time for the camo whites coming on round 37. This was looking good, we just had 2 problems. The first was that any large rushes that get past our bionic boomers will surely leak, so we sold our towers and rearranged them a little bit. By Quincy, we now have 2 glaive ricochets that should handle any large groups of balloons, and we moved our crossbows up front to pop the camos right away. This worked great, even popping the round 40 Moab pretty easily, but it leads to our second problem. All of our money is spent on darts and boomers, meaning they're the only 2 getting experience. But if we're going to beat Bloonarius, we need tons of tier 5 upgrades, not just on these 2 monkeys. So the next focus was to spend tons of money on other towers, and so we started placing down snipers. This will be tricky as they're a pretty cheap tower, but we can start with 3 of them just to unlock their initial upgrades and make them somewhat useful. I didn't want to spend all of our money on them because we were still struggling from time to time, like with the camo ceramics in round 51, but we at least had enough money to spare for a few snipers. They quickly unlocked FMJ, making them a bit more useful, but what we really needed was extra camo detection. Every couple rounds, camos would just get so far, wasting time and even threatening leaking. Nothing would be worse than losing right now, as we'd have to start completely over. Things got a lot easier outside of camos though, because our boomers unlocked the turbocharge upgrade, giving us an ability to 7x their attack speed and +1 damage for 10 seconds. This is a nice get out of jail free card if something is stronger than expected, but we still need more defenses. We continued getting sniper XP and slowly unlocking their upgrades, but the big unlock was for the dart monkey on round 67, where we finally got to make them all sharp shooters. This, plus having Quincy's level 10 ability, solves our camo problem. Rounds 75 through 80 though are still looking scary with our current monkeys, but then the unlock of the run happened. On round 73 we got enough experience to unlock the boomers tier 5 upgrade in the perma charge, one of the best tier 5s in the game as it's so well rounded, especially for its price. So we saved up some money, and on round 75 we sold a bunch of our towers to be able to afford it. And just like that, we had the damage to beat Monkey Meadow on hard. For the final few rounds, we just placed down some wizards and snipers to get a nice bit of experience on them, but we were able to beat this difficulty from scratch, something I'd never done before. But with this win comes something great. We get to unlock an intermediate map which awards 10% more experience than beginner ones. Naturally, we used our 1 unlock to open up cards and darts, and we jumped straight into hard mode now that we know we can take down this difficulty. 16 minutes into the run and we're already starting our second hard mode game. Once again, we put Quincy in a safe spot to make sure he could pop everything, and then we followed this up with a couple snipers. This way they could hit the strong balloons before Quincy and pop any that managed to get past his bow. Next, we started to place druids down at the start of the track. They have a surprising amount of damage in the early game because of how many thorns they throw, but this is a tower that I want a ton of experience on. We definitely need an Avatar of Wrath for the boss fight, but we also need the middle path druid of the jungle to speed up the rounds when grinding experience. We spent most of our money on druids and their upgrades, which allowed us to get his tier 3 up and running on round 25. This is the monkey that will really turn this into a speed run, as he has a global vine that one-shots ceramics and below, but it also leaves thorns on the track that pops bloons as they pass over it. So it's a double whammy that helps out a ton in the mid game. At this time, we also unlocked the banana farm, something that we'll be spamming in the Bloonarius fight, so we need to get at least one of its tier 5 upgrades. We kept this guy around until 39, where we sold it to place down 2 bionic boomers to pop the Moab. These were just a 1-round rental though, as we sold them right after to get back our farm. Kind of a silly play, but we desperately need that farm XP. Now, you may also notice the tack shooters up front. These guys are crazy good at popping Moab class balloons once you get them to overdrives or the tack zone, so that's our goal. Plus, it'll be nice to have them for Bloonarius, so it's a win-win. Fast forward to round 53, and we've made a few improvements. We just unlocked the banana bank for our farms, we have 2 Dragon's Breath wizards to pop most of the bloons, and we have a supply drop sniper. This gives us tons of global popping power on top of a nice bit of cash generation. Honestly, the only thing I'd change about him is the crosspath, as the 042 is better, but it was fine for this run as we started off with 2 zeros, and from here we kind of coasted to the end of the run. We got plenty of money from our banks, which allowed us to place down some single target snipers to pop the Moab class balloons. We started getting Alchemist experience as he's the best tower in the game, and we placed down tons of tack shooters to hopefully get the overdrive sometime soon. But this took down cards and darts before the 30-minute mark, awarding us the hard metal, 400 monkey money, and let us unlock an advanced map. I was between Off the Coast and Cornfield, as those are probably the 2 easiest ones, but we desperately needed some boat and sub XP, which made our choice very easy. Off the Coast it is, as we need that water. Plus, Cornfield takes a long time to beat, as you have to wait for the bloons to get all the way to your monkeys early on. Here, we started off on medium because the map was much more difficult than the last 2, but it awards 20% more experience than beginner maps, so I figured that was a decent trade-off. We placed Quincy down right away and backed him up with a submarine as soon as we could. This took down the early rounds without leaking, and then we got a druid. Naturally, we rushed this guy to a druid of the jungle as we want that vine attack we talked about last game. Really, the only time that attack struggles is when we're on a map with more than one track, which we won't be doing too much of in this speedrun. Once we got this druid, we had to focus on towers that still need experience. The most important 3 are the Alchemist, Sub, and Buccaneer. So we spent some money on these 3 towers and continued popping away. It was nice that our druid was carrying so well, because it allowed us to spend money on these new towers, getting them plenty of XP even though they're only tier 1s or 2s. Quickly, we had some hotshot bucks and an airburst dart submarine. This let us pop every bloon very quickly, and we weren't even worried about round 40. Everything was surprisingly under control, especially once we got a Berserker Brew on round 39. This let us upgrade our bucks to merchantmen in the early 40s, making us some much needed cash as well as getting them more experience. We plan on boat farming during Bloonarius, as we won't have much monkey knowledge to lean on for the fight, so I really want to unlock the trade empire by the time we jump into the boss event, as that can make us oodles of money even if we get a late start on it. We continued on, getting more and more boats and subs down. We had a submergent support for camo detection, several armor piercing darts for guaranteed damage, and a couple buccaneers of each path. This crushed all the way through round 60, where we got our medium badge for Off the Coast, 375 monkey money, and unlocked the Dartling Gunner as we finally got our 500,000th pop. Next on the docket was Dark Castle. As much as I wanted to do hard, I didn't think it'd be easy enough with how few upgrades we have unlocked, so we went with medium. We started with Quincy, and once we could afford him, we got down a Dart Monkey. This beat the first several rounds and let us place a Buccaneer down in the castle's moat. We quickly picked up Grape Shot and worked our way towards a Ninja. We had a few upgrades unlocked on this guy, but we still weren't close to the big one that we need. Sticky Bomb. If we can get enough experience for this tier 4 upgrade, we'll be looking good for the first tier of Bloonarius. Another tower that we need a ton of XP on is the one we just unlocked, the Dartling Gunner. Ideally, we get a couple of his tier 5 upgrades, as they'll be helpful for tiers 2 through 5 of the boss fight, so we plopped one down at the top of the castle wall and had him shoot right down the center of the path, popping anything in his way. From here, things were simple. We got a sniper to make the leads easy, we made the boat a merchantman for extra income, and we spent some money on Dartling Gunner upgrades, but it was clear we didn't have enough damage for round 40 with these low tier towers. So we sold the buck and picked up a turbocharged ninja and a tack sprayer to deal with this guy, and we barely popped enough bloons to live through all the leaks. Pretty scary, but we moved on. That is, until round 43 ceramics absolutely blew past us, making us start over. This is a pretty big hit to our XP per hour, as the later rounds give much more, but nothing we can't come back from. We'll just have to really push it later on. Our next run was almost exactly the same through round 40, but with one big change. We greeted a lot more getting the merchantman earlier, and this made us lose on round 22. A huge mistake, but BTD6 gives you one free continue, which we used to save us tons of time. Pretty unfortunate, but it was definitely needed as we lost twice in a row. By round 40, we had the same setup, but this time included an alchemist and had the turbocharger's ability ready to go. These two changes absolutely smoked the Moab, and not even a single Bloon leaked. And we had enough money and experience to pick up Hydro rocket pods by 43, so the ceramics didn't stand a chance. We rode this momentum straight through the end of the run as we just upgraded our towers and picked up another ninja and 2 snipers to speed it up. And just like that, 55.5 minutes into the run, we've beaten our first expert map. Now onto something I only know because of a previous boss speedrun. There's a quest called Keep Up with Biker Bones that awards 500 monkey money when completed, and it's a race, meaning we can do it in just a few minutes. This is important as we need a few $1,000s to buy Benjamin, who'll be the best hero for us when fighting Bloonarius. All we did was start with a bomb and tack shooter and rushed a druid of the jungle. I was afraid I sent too many rounds at first, but we were able to get this tier 3 druid with only leaking a few balloons. From here, we just spammed the waves and upgraded our attack and bomb shooters. This lasted until round 36, where camos were a little scary, so we picked up a sharpshooter and double shot ninja, and we beat the quest in just over a minute real time. And with this, we were only 425 monkey money short of Benjamin. But then we did something crazy. Dark Castle on hard, even though we just lost to it twice on medium a half hour ago. This was pretty risky, but I knew we were getting low on time and we really needed experience from 80 rounds of an expert map. Unsurprisingly, we started off with Quincy and then a dart monkey up front, and once we could afford it, a submarine at the start of the castle's lazy river. This is the start that I'm super familiar with, as in chimps, the easiest way to start this map is with a dart monkey and submarine, but hard is a little easier than chimps, so I took some liberties to place Quincy down first. We quickly made the submarine a 202 for those global airburst darts and then put down a ninja. There's just one problem. I totally forgot about leads, so we had to exit to home and load back in to retry round 28. And even then, we had to sell our dart monkey to afford an FMJ sniper up top. This wasted a few seconds, but it was definitely better than leaking. From here, we replaced the dart monkey and started working on an alchemist. Pretty soon, we had a berserker brew, Bloon Jitsu ninja, and a triple gun submarine, all in time for the round 40 Moab. Even with all this, it was pretty close. Nothing leaked, but several balloons did make it to the drawbridge, which I was not expecting. We purchased stronger stim on our elk for round 43, and then I remembered we still need tons of farm experience, so we got 2 of them down bottom before going back to our defenses. We picked up a wall of fire wizard and replaced our sniper with a dartling gunner. We probably could have put the dartling above the sniper, but we don't really need any more sniper XP, so I was okay getting rid of this guy. Once he was up and running, we upgraded one of our farms to a bank so he'd be set for the endgame, and then picked up a bionic boomer for some extra damage. This was nice, but there was one thing bothering me. We don't really need any more submarine XP, but we'd like a lot more on the Buccaneer. So we sold the triple gun sub and replaced it with a hotshot destroyer and a merchantman. Not a bad trade if you ask me. On round 58, we collected our money, made our destroyer an aircraft carrier, and worked towards a second bank. We got this on round 61 and found out that we had enough farm experience to unlock central markets, which are very important to boat farming. But then the dreaded round 63 came. We sold our bionic boomer and dart monkey to afford a more glaives boomerang, a hard counter to this round, but the track is so short that I was still worried. The 3 waves of ceramics can be deadly, especially with a setup like this. The first wave of ceramics was brutal as 61 balloons got through, bringing us down to 19 lives. Why I didn't use Quincy's level 3 ability here, I'm not sure, but we'll blame it on the fact that I was streaming. The second wave went off without a hitch as we used Quincy's storm of arrows, and then we spent the money from these pops on a glaive ricochet. This combined with Quincy's level 3 might be enough to take out the wave, but we must have been low on elk potions or something, as quite a few balloons made it through, way more than how many lives we had left. Now we have a decision. Spend 400 monkey money on a continue, as the next 20-ish rounds will give us tons of experience, or we could start over. We still need a bit of monkey money for Benjamin, but beating this difficulty will give us 800, which will cover his price if you include the monkey money we've been getting from leveling up. With that in mind, we used a continue and had enough money for a second more glaives, which smoked the round without a single leak. Now, I was pretty confident we'd win at this point, so we focused on XP once again. We picked up another aircraft carrier and then put 4 druids down bottom. We still need that Avatar of Wrath upgrade, but we're getting pretty close. And with this, we popped the ZOMG on round 80, giving us the hard metal for Dark Castle and the 800 monkey money that comes with it. This let us buy Benjamin, and we're almost ready for the boss fight. Just one more win and we'll be good to go. We went back to off the coast to get a final bit of druid and boat XP. So we did the classic dart sub start and saved up for Oben. This leaked a few lives during the save up, but once Oben was down, we were in good hands. From here, we put a buck up front and a sniper in the back to help out, and this gave us the time and resources to prep for the mid game. We got down a very early farm and then a discount village and 2 druids next to Oben. And for camo detection, we just submerged our submarine, as that is a great spot for him. Then we bought a destroyer and an alchemist for round 40. Overall, pretty standard stuff, but now it was time to get a banana bank and work on our druid. The goal is to get several populace all in range of Oben and both discount villages. This way, all the druids will be very cheap and have all the buffs on them that we need. We accomplished this for the most part by round 58, and on round 60, we found out we had enough experience to unlock the Trade Empire. Since we had enough experience on them now, we sold the bucks and got down more druids and a Dartling gunner. The Mad was looking a little out of reach at this point, which is terrible, but we got the Avatar of Wrath upgrade on round 67, and from here, we coasted to victory. We picked up another Rocket Storm and an Overdrive, but for the most part, we just AFK'd to the win. After this run, we looked through our monkeys and upgrades. We had enough to unlock the Banana Research Facility, but we weren't even close to the Mad. And I just realized we never got down aces, so we won't be getting a Flying Fortress this time around. A little worried, we equipped Benjamin, picked up 8 monkey knowledge points, and challenged Bloonarius to a battle on cubism. We started off simple with just a dart monkey and saved up for Ben. We got him down in the middle of round 6, and we had only leaked 3 lives so far. From here, we got a tack shooter to help out our dart monkey, and then we got down our first farm of the boss fight. We quickly made it a 2-0-0 and went back to our defenses. We upgraded the tack shooter to a 2-0-2 and worked towards a second farm, which we got down on round 16. Once again, we made this guy a 2-0-0, so he would produce more bananas per round. It's at this point that I'd pick up an engineer on my main account, as his pin is very strong and we'd work towards a balloon trap. But here, with limited towers, I just upgraded our tack shooter to a 2-0-3 and got down another farm. My only plan was to make a ton of 2-0-0s and upgrade them to marketplaces when the time is right, which happened to be around 28. We needed to sell one of our farms to have enough money to make a lead to gold alchemist for the lead balloons, but this let me rearrange a bit and get 4 farms in range of a discount village. And by the end of round 35, all of them were marketplaces. Not bad for a new account. We got another one near the top pool and then worked towards a flavored trades buccaneer. This way we could sell the marketplaces in his range for more money and adds a little bit of extra defense. Luckily, we only had to sell one of these farms to afford a sticky bomb ninja and a Morglaves boomer for the tier 1 boss fight. This was popping him pretty slow, but we could handle all the ceramics that Bloonarius spits out, and we still had 4 marketplaces that were making us plenty of money every round. So for once, speed was not an issue. We popped the first tier on round 44 right as he was about to make the first turn, but now it was time to turn our efforts over to boat farming. We sold the boomer, ninja, and all of our farms to afford a trade empire and a few merchantmen. I made sure to double discount them, and we started packing them in the bottom pool. Obviously, the more boats we can fit the better, but the placement is pretty tight on this map if you want to get all 20 merchantmen down and max out the trade empire buff. This is all we did through round 51, where we managed to fit our 20th merchantman. We did take a bit of a time hit while placing these, but I figured the extra money we'd get from them was worth the slow placements. From here through round 58, we worked on upgrading our boats to flavored trades, but once we got super close to the tier 2 fight, we delayed our farming and started placing down druids. We got 6 populace in range of a village, but we didn't have the money for an Avatar of Wrath. Without this upgrade, we needed to up the damage, so I purchased a sticky bomb ninja and a Morglaves boomer, and quickly it was clear we had the damage to pop them. It wouldn't be fast, but we definitely didn't need the Avatar of Wrath for this fight. So we went back and upgraded the rest of our boats to flavored trades, got down on rocket storms in hopes of making it a mad one day, and started getting central markets. Each one of these increases how much money our boats make, capping out at 10, so we needed to max out this buff as fast as possible. After placing a couple down, our defenses took down Bloonarius on round 65, which allowed us to sell most of them and speed up our central market adventure. This took us until round 69 to place all 10 of them down, but then we front-loaded the track with overdrive. Normally not necessary, but we're speedrunning this and I wanted to speed up the rounds as much as possible. After this was done, we went back to farming, trying to fill the rest of the map with BRFs, but that brings us to the tier 3 fight. This time, we managed to get our Avatar of Wrath in the middle of the map, buffed by 5 Populous and a village. And while Bloonarius was lumbering down the track into his range, we upgraded the rest of our farms to BRFs. Now this might have been enough to win, but if you've been to one of my streams, you know I like to over defend and show the Bloons who the real boss is. So we upgraded our Mib to a call to arms and buffed our avatar with a stronger stim. And just in case the avatar didn't want to pop everything, we got a Glaive Lord at the end of the track to make sure nothing leaked. But this took Bloonarius down after the first turn. While this tier was easy, it made it clear that we needed way more defenses for tiers 4 and 5. So once there was no more room to place banana farms, we started placing snipers down in the open spaces. Almost all of them became 204 set to strong, as they provide a ton of damage for how little space they take up. And we were doing this while the rounds were going, so we didn't waste any time placing them down. Fast forward to round 100 and we had $1.8 million to spend. I didn't take too much time here, but we got 15 more snipers all set to strong to help out against this round 100 boss. This did work, especially when we activated the call to arms village, but the scary thing wasn't Bloonarius. It was the DDTs. You see, none of our snipers have camo detection, so it was up to everything else to pop them, and they were getting very far. Way too far for comfort. To solve this, we sold one of our boats up top and replaced it with a submerge and support submarine. I figured we had enough money that we could cut one buck out to make sure a DDT didn't get through and make us start all over. The other thing that was scary were the 10 ZOMGs that spawned with every skull. All of our recent damage added was through snipers, and they were all focusing on Bloonarius, so our towers from the tier 3 fight had to handle all of these blimps, meaning they were constantly getting over halfway through the track and threatening leaking. But we managed to pop Bloonarius and all of his children on round 104, but this was easily the furthest he had made it, and his next tier has 4 times more health than this one. But now we just had to make as much money as possible and fill the map with towers that can pop Bloonarius and his 3 million health. This brings us to round 120 and the final tier of Bloonarius. But before we hit play, we sold every farm and had $4.5 million to work with. Now, this is a speedrun, but there's no way I was going to lose because of laziness or being rushed. So we took the time to load the map with snipers, villages, and alchemists, and then we filled the water with aircraft carriers. This took about 10 minutes and over $2 million, but boy was it worth it. Even though Bloonarius had 4 times more health than the last year, we could instantly see the damage we were doing. Normally, we'd have 2 to 3 paragons instead of this mass of snipers, but there was something nice about a paragon-free boss run. The one downside though was that there were so many monkeys damaging this guy that the game was running very slow. This did hurt our time, but it was nothing compared to how long it took me to place all these snipers. I couldn't tell what was popping all the rainbow balloons that were constantly being spit out, but I assume it was a mixture of the Glaive Lord and Elite Sniper. But for the bad that spawns with every skull, we just had our druids set to first to take those out. But with the call to arms villages constantly active and over 100 snipers, we managed to pop the final tier of Bloonarius only 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 38 seconds after making this account. And we have some cool stats. In the speedrun, we played 11 games, popped 1.7 million balloons, placed 233 snipers, and generated $7.2 million. We're gonna see how fast we can pop Phayze with a brand new account. The timer starts when I hit play and ends when we pop his 5th tier. We got through the tutorial in under a minute and headed into Monkey Meadow. Here, I just wanted to get through as fast as possible so we could unlock a bunch of monkeys. So we loaded the front with crossbows and red hot ranks. This countered everything for the time being, and then we brainstormed what we'd need for Phayze. I figured we'd need Benjamin, a PMFC, Elite Defender, Sticky Bombs, Dragon's Breath, Permabrew, Mad, Sun Temple, and some tier 5 farms, so we'll prioritize these guys. This brought us to the end of Monkey Meadow, where Quincy's storm of arrows quickly popped the BFB, finishing the map in under 11 minutes. This let us unlock one intermediate map, and we chose carts and darts. This is important because each difficulty of map increases the amount of experience you get on your monkeys and account. With Quincy at the front again, we plowed through the map. Our biggest unlocks were Overdrives, Sharpshooter, Berserker Brew, and Wall of Fire, and our only mishap was on round 59, where Camo Leads got pretty far and wasted some time. Other than that though, it was a solid run. Next was an advanced map, and we chose Cornfield. I was between this and Off the Coast, but this map is a bit easier for how little XP we currently have. It was a slow start, but once we removed some corn, things sped up. Here, we popped everything with overdrives, sharpshooters, and a stronger stim, and finally got to work on some farm and village experience. The village helped out a ton, but the farms were just for show as we placed them too late to actually be helpful. And because we had so many sharpshooters down, we got enough XP to unlock the Crossbow Master, our first tier 5 of the day. Not ready for an expert map, we redid Cornfield, but this time time on hard. I should have started with a druid or an engineer, but Quincy and a dart monkey did fine. A bit slow and we leaked some lives, but we got through. We went for the same setup as before, earning tons of experience for our village, farm, wizard, and super monkey. This was our first encounter with round 63 and 64, but we absolutely obliterated those rounds just as fast as any others. Then we picked up a crossbow master to guarantee the win and started spamming ninjas, as I forgot that we need to unlock sticky bombs for Phayze's first tier. This brings us to the ZOMG, which we quickly cleaned up and then moved on to Dark Castle on medium. This is where we'll get some sub experience and really start unlocking the tier 5s that we need. We prioritized snipers and farms and mixed in a ninja, but medium ends so fast we didn't make much progress. So we booted it back up on hard, doing a very similar thing, but before we could really get our snipers online, round 64 ceramics got through and ended the run a bit early. Unfortunate, but we went to the home screen and started getting some monkey knowledge points. These were all in the support category, focusing on making our farming better, as we'll need tons of money to take down Phayze, especially since this week is on shoots. But this opened my eyes to how much monkey money we'll need. Not only do we need to buy Benjamin for 3 grand, but we also need some extra for the better monkey knowledge points. So to get more money, we hopped into the Biker Bones race quest and beat it as fast as we could, which was almost exactly 5 minutes. This gave us $500, which was great for how little time it took. And with that, we had enough to buy Benjamin. Back to farming experience, we went to Cornfield Magic Monkeys only. We figured this would not only be a great way to get ninja and super monkey experience, but also gave us a nice injection of monkey money, as we don't have this medal yet. The start was a bit rough with just a ninja, but on round 14 we were able to sell him for a druid of the jungle, and that sped things up a ton. Then we just front loaded the track with monkeys like usual. With a little bit of selling and leaking, we were able to get a sun avatar in round 62 just in time for the hard rounds. Then we just spammed super monkeys to give them the bulk of the XP, and we were able to get the sun temple upgrade just before the run ended. Onto the final run before taking on Phayze, Dark Castle on hard. This time, I'm sure we won't lose on round 64, but we still need a ton of experience on our farm and snipers. So we started with Oban and a wall of fire, which let us get farms down early. This extra money let us get a ton of snipers, unlocking the cripple mob and elite defender. And with an army of snipers on the castle wall, the ZOMG was defeated. Now we just had to pick up a few monkey knowledge points before taking on Phayze. So we increased the Monkey Town's cash by 10%, lowered all ability cooldowns by 3%, and made all monkeys attack 3% faster. And now it's time to take down Phayze. We started with Ben and 2 dart monkeys. This did just fine and not only allowed us to get down a farm, but also let us upgrade it to a 2-0-0 before worrying about any other defenses. Then on round 9, we sold the dart monkeys and replaced them with a druid, upgrading it to a 0-3-0 on round 12. It's times like this where I really miss my main account, as Ben would have been level 3, so we could have used his ability to pop more balloons and not leak 95 of them. Oh well. From here, we were able to get 3 more farms down before needing to get another defender, and luckily we left just enough space for a wizard above the intersection. We made him a 0-2-2, as that solves our camo problem and should pop anything that gets past the druid's vines. We got down a discount village right above some farms, but I misplaced it, not leaving enough room on the left for an extra farm. Because of this, we were only able to fit 4 total farms inside its discount range. An unfortunate play, but it wasn't worth the time to restart that round. From here, we upgraded the 4 farms in discount range to 203 marketplaces and upgraded our wizard to a dragon's breath. We were basically out of time to farm, so after upgrading our 5th one to a marketplace, we sold our last farm to afford a 104 sticky bomb ninja. This lined up pretty well with when the boss spawned, and while our ninja was busy popping Phayze, we got down more defenses. We got 3 triple dart monkeys for camo purples, as well as future plasma monkey fan club transformers, and we got a 301 alchemist to buff our druid and wizard. Finally, we got another discount village up top, as there was just enough room for us to place it. And around this time, we popped Phayze right as he was about to turn upwards. Lucky us, as if he had another warp in him, the balloons would have been spawning past the wizard and probably would have leaked. But this is where I had a big brain play. Let's make the 1 farm Monkeyopolis that would let us make oodles and oodles of money. So we got down a 3rd discount village and a base banana farm. Then we upgraded our main village to a 004 and realized that we never unlocked the Monkeyopolis upgrade, so I just wasted time and money setting this up. Luckily, we had just enough to make this farm a 420 banana research facility and move on, but wow, was that almost detrimental. We continued like normal and surrounded our monkey city with a bunch of marketplaces, but on round 49, our defenses were getting a bit sketchy, so we picked up 2 airburst dart submarines to help out. Then we got 7 more marketplaces and upgraded our subs to 203. I didn't think this boost in defense was completely necessary right now, but it was a cheap upgrade that allowed us to get down 3 more marketplaces. But this brings us to round 54, where the 2 mobs were actually pretty scary, causing us to bring both of our subs up to armor piercing dart. Fast forward to round 60 and the second tier of Phayze is here. We needed a lot more money, so I sold all of our farms on the left and used that to purchase the Plasma Monkey fan club, as well as a ton of dart monkeys and a 402 monkey village. Then we made all the dart monkeys 002s so they could see Phayze, and boy did this do damage. Every time we activated the ability, it would take down an entire shield and skull. But this brought us to round 63, something I didn't prepare for at all. Panicking, I lined up the PMFC ability with the first rush, we got a Summon Phoenix for the second rush, and the third got downgraded by Benjamin's level 10 ability, which came off cooldown just in time. Then we used our abilities once they came off cooldown to pop the second tier of Phayze on round 65. Normally, this is when you sell all your farms and make a banana central, but I wasn't sure if we had that kind of money since we hadn't been overclocking farms as we went. So I spent all our money upgrading some farms to central markets and then making as many 203 marketplaces as possible. We didn't have to worry about defenses at all until around 75, where those BFBs were very scary. So we popped the PMFC ability and changed one of our wizards to a 402. This brings us to round 80. Now, there is no way that a PMFC will be enough to take down the third tier of Phayze all by itself. So we sold every farm and used that money to make a 402 super monkey. I would have liked to have the extra range of the middle crosspath, but Phayze kind of requires camo detection on monkeys like this. And don't worry, we made sure to sacrifice the max amount of primary, magic, and support monkeys to get the most out of them. Then we replaced the PMFC and supporting dart monkeys and picked up a sun avatar, as these guys do crazy damage when buffed by a support sun temple. At the start it didn't look good, but once Phayze got in range of all the dart monkeys, the Plasma Monkey fan club chunked him down just like last time. And once the Savitar got involved, there was constant damage that brought it down in just about the same spot as the past 2 tiers. Boom. Tier 3 is down and we're only 2 hours and 3 minutes into the account. Not bad. Now, we didn't want to have to sell the Sun Temple and set back up all the sacrifices later, as this is a speedrun, so we just built farms around it, getting the most out of the discount it provides. Once again, we ran a Monkey City, 1 BRF, and tons of central markets. Then, on round 89, we were able to upgrade one of them to a Monkey Wall Street, meaning I didn't have to collect all those pesky banana crates that the BRF's been dropping constantly. But one thing was still bugging me. We spent all that time unlocking the Banana Central and we weren't even farming with it, even though it would definitely be faster than what we're doing now. So on round 91 we made the switch, selling our central markets, buying the Banana Central, and we started placing BRFs all over. This made us tons of money, but it did cause one problem. You see, I use the Sun Temple's discount to place more BRFs, but this is also the space we need to place the Sun Avatars to do damage. To get around this, I spent a ton of money on a Permabrew and Archmage where no super monkeys would fit, but we still had 100k left over. So we hit play, and while tier 4 Phayze was coming down the track, we placed Sun Avatars down bottom, just in range of the Sun Temple. This allowed us to save time in our speedrun, while also getting down the necessary defenses for the 4th tier. And once again, we were able to pop it right as it started to turn upward towards the exit. 2 hours and 10 minutes in, and we only have 1 tier left to beat before we've bested Phayze. We farmed a little more, placed some defenses up top on both sides to speed up the rounds, and in just 3 minutes we made it to round 120 with almost $900,000 in the bank. And with this money, we picked up another Sun Temple and placed as many Sun Avatars as we could around the left track and hit play. We couldn't really see the screen, just like most boss events, so we turned projectiles all the way off and continued the run. Things weren't looking good, as Phayze was almost at the first corner before we popped his first skull. But while he was chugging along, I added a 3rd Sun Temple at the back and placed Savitars all around it as well. This might be enough to win, but it wouldn't be fast, and we might still leak to the Bloons coming out of Phayze's portal. So we picked up another PMFC, and on round 125, something I'd been waiting for all game finally happened. We got enough experience to get the Call to Arms upgrade on the village, giving a global attack speed and pierce buff to all our monkeys. This, combined with our Savitars, Sun Temples, and PMFC, were enough to take down tier 5 Phayze in 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 16 seconds. 2 years ago, I beat every difficulty of a map in 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 2 seconds. And if that wasn't enough, it was with a brand new account. Well, we're going to run it back and try to beat that record. The timer will start when I hit play and end once we get the final medal. Right away, we went into the tutorial, placed as many monkeys as we could, and started the rounds. I made sure to put 2 up front to pop the balloons right away, and once we placed Quincy, we exited to home. I don't know why we're allowed to leave the tutorial 7 rounds early, but I'll take it. Once home, we booted up the new map Tinkerton on easy, put our hero near the start of the track, and hit play. Right next to him, I got a dart monkey, as we need to start unlocking upgrades if we want to beat the harder rounds. You see, each round gives XP to us as a player, our hero to level up in-game, and to every monkey we have down to unlock upgrades. So we need to place monkeys we plan on using in the future to make sure we have all the necessary upgrades later on. At the end of round 5, we leveled up to 2 and unlocked the tack shooter. These guys are amazing at speedrunning because they can deal tons of damage at the very start of the track and specialize in taking out some of the tanky balloons later on. So I made sure to place 4 of them at the entrance. This way, we'll pop the balloons right away, and this will give the tack shooters most of the XP, as there's a set amount of experience awarded with every round, and it gets split up based on how much money you've spent on each monkey. So right now, we've spent $880 on tack shooters and $340 on dart monkeys, meaning tack shooters will get 72% of the XP from these rounds. We spent this XP unlocking 3 upgrades on round 10 and quickly upgraded our tacks to 101s. At this point, we were flying through the rounds, beating them about as fast as you can, and we were unlocking monkeys along the way. First the boomerang monkey and then the bomb shooter. We got down a bomb shooter for the leads that come on rounds 28 and 30, and we upgraded our dart monkeys to have camo detection. Now, easy mode is just that. Easy. The balloons are slower, monkeys are cheaper, and you only go to round 40. So winning wasn't what I was worried about. It was keeping our time down and unlocking the necessary upgrades for future modes. The main ones I focused on were bottom path tack shooters and dart monkeys, but we picked up some various ones like snipers and subs, as having XP on them later will be nice. But from here, we casually upgraded our monkeys, placed a few boomers, and coasted to round 40 where we take on the first Moab of the run. This thing has much more health than any balloon we faced so far, but between all our monkeys and using Quincy's ability, we popped it pretty quick. The next difficulty we went with was primary only. This is the easiest mode for us right now, and we'll use it to get even more upgrades for our primary monkeys. We started off almost exactly the same. Quincy and a dart monkey, and place some tack shooters up front. This is tried and true and gives us the XP we need, but in the middle of this, I got down a boomerang monkey, as basically everything about him is helpful. After upgrading our tack shooters to tier 3s and making our dart monkey a crossbow, we started working on the boomer, making it a 0-2-2 on round 32. This specific build is a very strong early game tower that we'll likely use going forward, so I was happy to have it unlocked. From here, we got another crossbow and started saving up for our first tier 4 upgrade of the day. We didn't waste any time during this save up though, as we were smoking the rounds, and on 36 we upgraded our frontmost tack shooter to a 204 overdrive. This makes it shoot 16 tacks per attack, and each one is 2 pierce, making it a beast at taking out Moabs and balloons alike. We saved up again, getting a second overdrive on round 38, and with this we easily beat primary only. So just 12 minutes into the run, we've beaten the tutorial and 2 of the 14 game modes. Now, the last mode in the easy category is deflation, but that's very hands off, so we're going to save it in case I need to do something like go to the bathroom. For now, we'll go into medium, where we have to beat rounds 1 through 60, and everything is more expensive than easy mode. Luckily, we could still start with Quincy, so we put him near the front and got down a dart monkey and tack shooter as soon as we could afford them. We treated the early game just like the previous runs, upgrading the tacks and making our dart monkey a crossbow. But we could already tell the jump in difficulty, as we even had to use Quincy's rapid shot on round 15 to prevent the balloons from getting past the start. After we got our usual tier 3s, we got 2 of those 0-2-2 boomers I was talking about earlier. These will give us the freedom to start getting XP on magic monkeys, which we are starting to unlock. The first 2 we got were the Wizard and Alchemist, as the Prior is amazing at speedrunning the mid-game, and Alchemist will give us tons of extra damage later on. To prep for round 40, we got an overdrive and upgraded both of our boomerang monkeys to bionic boomers, which deal great general damage. This popped the Moab pretty quick, but we needed some more damage up front and more camo popping power. To solve both of these problems, we upgraded our second tack to an overdrive and made our crossbows sharpshooters once we had the experience for the upgrade. But the late 40s and 50s are where things start to pick up, and it'll be tough without more tier 4 monkeys. So I placed some towers that I want XP on, like subs and ice monkeys, and got as much damage up front as I could, placing quite a few sharpshooters and bionic boomers. This not only beat the rounds pretty quick, but also got us some nice upgrades on the side. But soon we were at round 60, where we faced the BFB, a giant red blimp that holds 4 Moabs inside it. But Quincy recently hit level 10, giving him a second ability, and with this storm of arrows, we popped the BFB super fast. On to military only, a medium mode variant. This was the first mode that I was worried about, as we don't have much XP on military monkeys, so I put Quincy in a very safe but slower spot and started the run. I got a sniper down right away to speed up the rounds, and then got a submarine in the pool of orange juice. While not helpful right now, it only took a couple rounds to unlock advanced intel, which lets him shoot at balloons that any of your other monkeys can see, and I put a sniper up front to let him shoot at the balloons right as they spawn. Then we gave the sniper camo detection, so the sub will be able to see camos there too. Needless to say, we got another sub, making them both 202s once we had the money and XP. Airburst dart subs are very strong early game towers and should be able to carry us from now. From here, the run was simple. We gave both snipers lead and camo popping power and kept upgrading the submarines. This normally doesn't translate that well into the late game, but medium mode only goes to around 60, so I'm hoping we'll be fine. But after our subs got the triple guns upgrade, I spent some money getting a sniper to a 230 bouncing bullet for more grouped damage. This seemed great, but round 40 showed us how weak our single target damage was. Even with a third triple guns, the Moab got pretty far. Not ideal, but we only lost a second or two on this. What I really wanted was to get the 4th tier upgrade on subs, as that'll solve our issue, but that meant just waiting around for XP. So, in the meantime, I got our other sniper to a 032. Right after I did this, we unlocked APDs and spent basically all the money we made in the 40s upgrading our subs to 204s. Now, nothing was an issue, but we were pulling in money. So we filled the pool with more subs and bought another sniper. Not the most efficient thing, but it got the job done. And we popped the BFB at the very start. So we're 30 minutes in and have 5 medals. It seems like a good time, but the 7 modes in the hard difficulty take much longer than the other ones we've done so far, so I couldn't tell if we were ahead, behind, or right on pace for breaking my previous record. Next up, we have hard mode. This time, we'll be beating rounds 3 through 80, the balloons are faster, and everything is more expensive. I put Quincy in his normal spot, but this time he couldn't handle the first couple rounds on his own. A blue on round 4 made it all the way to the end, costing us 2 lives and some time. I guess I should have backed him up with a dart monkey right away, but after the leak we could afford a boomer, which I quickly made a 022. This, plus Quincy, was more than enough for the early rounds, so we were able to load the front with tack shooters and start working on our wizard. We already have Wall of Fire unlocked, which is amazing at taking out large rushes of balloons, as it damages any balloon that travels through the flames. And it's an expensive enough upgrade that he'll be getting a decent amount of XP. So after he was down, we got 2 crossbows to help out with camos. This got us to the end of the 30s, where we were just able to buy an overdrive for the Moab. And thank goodness, because even with it and Quincy's rapid shot, it got pretty far. The rest of the 40s were pretty simple though. We upgraded our crossbows to sharpshooters, got a second overdrive, upgraded our wizard to a dragon's breath, and made some bionic boomers. And most importantly, we worked on getting alchemist, village, and farm XP, as these are all S tier towers that we'll need later on. But now we need to worry about the big rushes in the future. Up until now, we haven't had to face any hard rounds, but the 60s and 70s are full of them. To prep for this, I got a Morglave's boomer to counter big rushes, and we unlocked Berserker Brew on the alchemist to help our overdrives pop Moabs. And with this, we took on the dreaded round 63. The first 2 waves of ceramics got pretty far, but our boomers were able to take them out without leaking, and we popped the final one with Quincy's Storm of Arrows. Luckily, the only thing that matters about this speedrun is how fast you pop the final balloons of every round, and we did that very fast with his ability. But shortly after this, we finally hit level 28 and unlocked Hbomb, the best hero we'll have access to this speedrun. And right after, we got our first tier 5 of the account, the Tack Zone. This guy shoots twice as many tacks as an overdrive, deals extra damage to Moabs, and attacks significantly faster. Overall, a massive increase in damage for our defenses. And we were able to pick up jungle drums on the village, making everything in its range attack faster. So in just a few seconds, we got several crucial unlocks. For the rest of the run, we just focused on getting XP on future towers. So we placed druids, ice monkeys, and another farm. And between all these monkeys, we were able to pop around 80 ZOMG pretty quick. After this, we threw on Hbomb and dove into magic monkeys only. Unfortunately, we can't start with him because he's too expensive, so we had to choose a normal magic monkey to start with. I defaulted to the ninja, as that's a decent starting tower, but we have almost no XP on it, making me nervous. Round 3 was just fine, and we even unlocked Seeking Shurikens, but round 4 was terrible. It looked like we were going to get everything, but one red balloon snuck through, and this thing was so slow that it wasted 7 seconds all by itself. Pretty tough. But because we didn't have any other upgrades unlocked on the ninja, we backed him up with a druid and they started manhandling the rounds. So much so that we were able to save up for Hbomb, placing him on round 10. This guy has an incredibly strong early game, so we should be good for a while. From here, we just upgraded our ninja and druid whenever we could. We continued this until round 28, where we got a wizard up front. At this point, we had a double shot ninja, an AMD alchemist, and we were close to getting a druid of the jungle, but we needed that wall of fire ASAP, as that crowd control and camo popping power is amazing. Right after this, we made our druid a 1-3-0, one of the best speedrunning towers in the game. He has a global vine attack that one-shots the bloon it grabs, and leaves thorns on the tracks that pop bloons as they pass over it. Between him and the fire, bloon rushes will not be a problem. The Moab will be though, so we started building damage for that. Primarily, more druids near the front of the track, making them 0-1-3s by round 40. These guys throw a decent amount of thorns pretty quick, and with their help, we popped the Moab about as fast as usual, which was a nice surprise. I planned on just spamming druids from here, but we got another big upgrade, the Necromancer. This lets the wizard reanimate bloons and they charge backwards along the track. And they can pop bloons the frame they spawn on top of being just a strong defender normally. With this, the rounds started flying by, and all we did was spam druids and alchemists. This gave us a ton of popping power, but we were really just waiting on the Pop Lust upgrade. While doing so, Hbomb hit level 10 and we could start placing his wall of trees. These insta-pop bloons as well as give us extra cash from them, so I used it whenever possible. And once we got Pop Lust, we went around to every druid and made it a 0-1-4. Each Pop Lust increases the attack speed and pierce of other druids in its range, and they actually become very strong for how cheap they are. But with this, we cruised through the rest of the game, placing down more druids whenever we could, and the ZOMG didn't stand a chance. Moving on, we chose double HP Moabs, which is just hard mode, but any blimp will have twice as much health as normal. I learned from last time and started with a ninja and dart monkey. This was able to pop the first couple rounds and get us enough money to start upgrading the ninja. After he was a 2-0-1, we were able to save up for Hbomb, locking up our early game defenses. Then we sold the dart and made a druid of the jungle. I plan on getting this guy just about every game as his vine is that good. But this let us upgrade our ninja to a double shot and buff him with a berserker brew, prepping us not only for the camos in the 30s, but also working towards a bloon jitsu upgrade later on. After this, we had to focus on the Moab, so we spammed Hbomb's brambles and built some tack shooters up front, getting one of them to an overdrive in time for round 40. This wasn't enough to pop it right away though, so it made it around the first loop and popped itself on the brambles we'd been setting up for several rounds. In the 40s, we got a second overdrive, a 2-2-0 village, and made our ninja a 4-0-2 bloon jitsu. This guy pairs amazing with an elk as he has 5 projectiles that seek out bloons, making him a great all-around damage dealer. After this, we started getting XP on ice monkeys as we'll want that for Impoppable and chimps, and then buffed our overdrives with an elk as well. This set us up pretty nice for Moab damage, so we started placing Pop Lust druids all over, preferably in range of Hbomb and or the village. After getting 5 of these guys down, we were able to save up for attack zone, getting it on round 78. This guy shredded the final few rounds, especially since he was buffed by a primary training village and a stronger stim. I mean, even the fortified BFBs and the ZOMG were no match for him. And we beat double HP Moabs just an hour and 8 minutes into the speedrun. But now we had to pick our poison. Half cash or alternate bloon rounds. Both difficult modes, especially since we don't have any monkey knowledge. I opted for ABR first and started with a dart monkey and boomer. This took out rounds 3 and 4, but round 5 starts with camo reds. Luckily, we had just enough money to get a ninja to take these out. So now we have 3 base monkeys to start the game. I was worried how much this would set us back, but it was actually strong enough to let us get Hbomb on round 9, and I put him up front to take out any leads that'll be coming soon, and so that his brambles will always be placed near the start of the track. For more camo popping power, we sold the dart monkey and upgraded our ninja to a double shot over the next 9 rounds. Nothing was really causing us problems, but then I spent all our money upgrading the boomer to a 3-0-1 right before the camo lead came on round 24. I knew this is when it shows up, but I blanked and spent all of our money. So I had to sell the boomer and pick up a 1-1-0 sniper to handle it. Then we slowly built him back, eventually getting it to a 3-0-2 boomer on round 28. To back this guy up, we got a 1-3-0 druid. Not necessarily the best pickup right now, but anytime saved would be wonderful. To get ready for round 40 though, we spammed brambles and built an overdrive at the start. The only problem is that I forgot the Moab is fortified in ABR, so it blew right through our defenses, and we didn't pop the final bloons until the very end of the track. Luckily, we didn't leak, but boy did that take some time. Clearly we'll need more damage, but I don't have the ABR rounds memorized like I do the normal ones, so I just got some all-around damage. We picked up a stronger stim alchemist, upgraded our boomer to a more glaives for any big rushes, and started building druids. Luckily, Hbomb is level 8 now, so any druid in his range can see camos, making this game mode much easier. Round 50 showed us that fortified Moabs were still tough though, so we backed these up with a necromancer right next to Hbomb. This, combined with getting jungle drums, put the Moabs in their place. But now it was time for Pop Plus, and the more we get the better for the most part. This was able to pop the Fortified BFB on round 60 and the Ceramic Rushes of 63. But from here, it was business as usual. We saved up for the tax zone and worked on getting XP on the Ice Monkey, and just like that, we popped the ZOMGs that end ABR. Shifting gears, we're finally taking down deflation. I needed a snack and to go to the bathroom, so I set up our epic defenses of Hbomb, a Bloon Jitsu, Dragon's Breath, Stronger Stim, and a Druid. In hindsight, we didn't need to get radar scanner on the village, but I figured we'd still be fine. So I left the game on fast forward and let my gaming chair handle the first 10 rounds. But even after I got back, there was nothing for me to do. So I just ate my Ritz peanut butter crackers and talked to chat for a bit. Quick question. If I have mod helper on, right? But I have all mods disabled and I do stuff like boss events, would I still get flagged? And would that really matter? Because I don't really play co-op or ranked. I guess it would stink if I ever wanted to do a ranked video. Fast forward a few minutes and we beat deflation, getting us our 9th medal and a bronze border. Next we have Apocalypse, a game mode with random rounds and no breaks between them. This is normally one of the tougher game modes to beat, so I saved it until now. The nice thing about it is that we get medium prices, meaning we can start with Hbomb. And he was able to solo until we got a boomer to back him up. So a pretty easy start, and we made him a 002 before getting a Dart Monkey. I'm not quite sure when camo balloons can start coming in this game mode, so I played it safe and made him a crossbow early. I figured even if camos didn't come for a bit, he'd still help us pop the rounds quickly. We spammed brambles and held the balloons to the very start of the track. Then we got a Wall of Fire Wizard near the front and put a Druid of the Jungle behind the boomer. Between these two, no balloon rush should get far. Normally, spending this much money on Bloons CC would make me worried about round 40, but because we're on medium, we have the money to splurge on extra monkeys like this. From here, we made our Wizard a Necromancer and got our boomer all the way to a 042 turbocharge. I haven't gotten too many of these so far, but boy are they great at taking out tanky balloons quickly. The only downside is that we rely on its ability instead of constant damage, but between these two and an overdrive, we are ready to pop the Moab in record time. Round 40 came, but no Moab. I knew the rounds were random, but I thought at least one would come. Anyway, we bolstered our defenses with the Jungle Drums Village, and there it is. Round 41 had a Moab that we popped absurdly fast, even without the turbocharger's ability. But from here, we got a more Glaives Boomer in case there were any big rushes, and coasted to the end, picking up some nice XP on the Ice Monkey and Banana Farm. Honestly, nothing really made it out of the spawn in the last 10 rounds. Our time had to be good, as that was one of the easiest Apocalypse seeds I've ever seen. All that's left is Half Cash, Impoppable, and Chimps, and we have just under an hour to beat them. I booted up Half Cash and was absolutely terrified. With no monkey knowledge, I knew this would be a doozy, but I told chat that the goal here was to just survive and get the medal. The timer doesn't matter as we don't have the luxury of speedrunning. I started with a Dart Monkey who popped round 3 just fine, but already on round 4 he leaked a ton of blues. We didn't really have another option, so I wasn't upset, but 2 rounds in and we're already down to 82 lives. After that, we got another Dart Monkey right next to him and continued on. This held the line pretty well, and I had to decide whether we save up for Hbomb or get another Dart Monkey. I knew the earlier we get our hero the better, but I wasn't sure how much we'd leak. Round 9, 1 Dreadbloon got through, round 10 we leaked 3, and we leaked 1 more on 11. Honestly, not too bad for just 2 Dart Monkeys, but with this we were able to get Hbomb at the start of round 12. And we were back to popping the balloons quickly and easily. Even round 15 went off without a hitch, but now it was time to get a Druid of the Jungle. I knew this would be tough, but if we keep spamming brambles we should be fine. This took us to round 26, where we were able to sell our Dart Monkeys and make the Druid a 030. Luckily, Half Cash doesn't affect sell prices, just income generation. Now, we're set for the early game, and we just need to prep for camos and the Moab. For camos, we got a 022 Wizard and continued placing brambles whenever we could, and for the Moab, we got 2 hot shots. I figured we couldn't get enough money for an overdrive, so I went for this cheaper solution. This turned out to be a great call, as we didn't even have the money to fully upgrade our second tack by the time round 40 started, and the insides got to the very end of the track. Luckily, the Druid was able to pop everything before leaking, so we got all the money and didn't lose any more lives. Hbomb hit level 8 on round 42, which was absolutely perfect for giving our Druid vision for the 5 camo rainbows that come on this round. From here, we upgraded the Wizard, but not to a Necromancer. No, we made it a Dragon's Breath. I didn't think we'd have the money to get a Necromancer plus enough Moab popping power, so we just got this cheap value upgrade that'll help us through the 50s. and here my cat Kramer joined us, helping us through this tough mode. Now, the end of the 40s make us some decent money and are easy to pop, so we took advantage of this by getting a discount village, which makes towers and upgrades in its range cheaper. Kind of risky, but afterwards we started placing Druids of Wrath near it and Hbomb. I wasn't sure how well this would do before Poplus, but we popped the Moab on 50 super fast, even without abilities. With this confidence booster, we sold the hotshots and used that money to buy a Poplust and continued getting more Druids. This lowered our DPS for a minute, but once we got our 5th Druid, we were back. Now, we need some Poplust for the 60s, so that's what we focused on. We only had 2 for the round 60 BFB, and even with just this, we popped it without leaking. It wasn't as fast as I'd like, but what more can you expect from half cash? Going into round 63, we had 3 Poplusts and bought Heart of Thunder on our Druid of the Jungle. This gives it a lightning attack that'll be super nice for the layered leads, and with the Pierce buffs from the Poplusts, it'll actually help quite a bit with the ceramic rushes. The first 2 waves went off without a hitch, and we popped the 3rd with a wall of trees. After round 64, we bought Jungle Drums and buffed some of our Druids with an Alchemist. I made sure to buff them under the effect of the discount village, so Berserker Brew was very affordable. But then we went back to Poplusts. This lasted well into the 70s, even with us farming Wall of Trees, but with each one we could feel the increased popping power. We got this final Poplust on round 77 and finished the run with another Alchemist. And just like that, we beat half cash. Before heading into Impoppable, I had 10 monkey knowledge points to spend, something I probably should have done before half cash. I didn't want to waste a ton of time picking out the best ones, so I went into the primary tree and got as many as I could. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what all I got, but they can't hurt. So with that, we jumped into Impoppable. Here, we only have 1 life, things are more expensive than hard mode, and we have to beat rounds 6 through 100. I did the classic dart sub start. It wasn't the fastest, but it got us through without leaking. From here, we picked up the 2nd submarine as it's just a cheaper twin guns and started saving money. Nothing was going to get past these 2 for a while, so we beat the next few rounds and placed Hbomb near the start of the track. Now, we just need to work on speed, so I upgraded 1 sub to an airburst darts with global range and sold the other one. From here, the plan was simple. Get a wall of fire up front and upgrade our sub. I knew we needed some Moab popping power, and I figured the easiest way to do this was getting our sub to an APD. Prices are so high and Impoppable that getting these 2 upgrades on the sub seemed to be the best choice. Then we upgraded the Dart Monkey to a sharpshooter and took on round 40. It got kind of far because we didn't have any brambles to help, but it still only took us 3 seconds to beat the round. Now it's time to start farming. Finally, that farm XP is going to come in clutch as the 40s are very easy and banana farms will help us overcome the high prices in this game mode. We got 2 of them down, making both of them 200s, so they each make $160 per round. This let us get a Necromancer on round 46 and a 202 village on 48. This will keep our time down and set us up for Druids in the future. Next, we had to decide what path to go on our farms. Normally, I get Banks and Impoppable, but they are much better with certain monkey knowledge points that we don't have, so we opted for marketplaces. Before making these though, I wanted to make sure we'd be set for the 50s, so I put an Overdrive and a Berserker Brew up front to take out the Moabs quickly. Once we had these down, we upgraded both farms to 203s so they could start making $400 each per round. And they collect themselves. Then we worked on our Druids, getting 4 Poplusts by round 63, which was more than enough to beat the round. And shortly after, we were finally able to incorporate an Ice Monkey into our run. We placed one right next to our Overdrive, and on round 67, we finally got the XP to unlock Embrittlement. This makes any Bloon or Blimp it hits take extra damage from every attack, and it pairs great with tack shooters because of how many tacks they shoot out per second. And with this setup, we were able to get a tack zone on round 77. Just in time for the ZOMGs to start showing up. This won't be enough to beat the 90s quickly though, so I got down 2 more marketplaces to help us get some more monkeys by the end of the game. We saved up until round 86 where we bought the Prince of Darkness, the upgraded Necromancer. This guy respawns much more than just Bloons, he brings back BFBs and Moabs that pack quite the punch. And we gave most of our defenses a MIB so that they can pop DDTs, which are blimps that are super fast and have the camo and lead properties. This was absolutely killing it and was probably enough to win, but we sold the marketplaces and could afford the Avatar of Wrath, the upgrade after Poplust. This guy does more damage the more Bloons are on screen, so he excels in the late 90s, especially when buffed by Hbomb and 5 Poplusts. This shredded the rounds about as fast as possible and let us get a first strike submarine for round 100. This guy has an ability that deals 10,000 damage to the strongest Bloon on screen, which is amazing for the last round as we just faced 1 mega blimp called the Bat. And if we time this ability correctly, we can skip some of or all the insides. Unfortunately, we mistimed it, so we still had to pop these ZOMGs, but we did get to skip the DDTs. And with that, we beat Impoppable just over 2 hours into starting this account. But now all that's left is chimps. a game mode with no continues, one life, no ways of making extra money, and monkey knowledge, powers, and selling are all disabled. It's supposed to be the true test of a BTD master, and we're about to take it on. Luckily, prices are the same as hard mode, so a bit cheaper than Impoppable. We started off with a dart monkey and a sub, and saved up for twin guns. Because we can't sell in this game mode, I didn't want to pick up a second sub for the early game, but this let us get Hbomb down in the middle of round 11 and start getting him XP. We had a couple routes we could go, but I wanted to make use of our submarine, so we upgraded it to an advanced intel and it started shooting the balloons with Hbomb and the dart monkey. This really upped our speed, but what brought it up to fast was getting a wizard at the start of the track so the sub could see the balloon spawn. Then we gave it airburst darts to triple its damage and we were in business. We got our classic wall of fire and crossbow to round out our damage types and camo detection, then went back to the sub, making it a 204 so we could pop the Moab quickly. Even with this though, it got kind of far. Probably because I spent a lot of money making a discount village in the late 30s. I guess I should have saved that for the 40s, but it's too late now. I went to placing druids in range of this village in Hbomb, and the second one we got, I accidentally put in a terrible spot, wasting a ton of space in the middle. And this is the one game mode we can't sell in, and we can't exit to home and replace him because that would give us a gold border instead of a black one. Actually a big mistake, as we'll not be able to fit as many monkeys as I'd like in there, but we have to continue on. I placed a few more druids, upgraded the wizard to a necromancer, and made the village a 202 over the rest of the 40s. But now it's Popless time. These rounds flew by, but in the 50s, we got all the Popless in range of each other and Hbomb, but not all of them were under the effect of the village. And at the end of this, Hbomb hit level 10 and we unlocked his wall of trees. Unlike the other game modes though, we did not put these at the very start of the track. No, we put them as far back as we could as a failsafe, as the trees don't make any extra money in chimps, so we're just using them to make sure we don't leak. Once all the Popless were down, we prepped for round 60 by getting an overdrive up front and upgraded the village to a primary training. This popped the BFB pretty quick, and we followed it up with an embrittlement to make all of our monkeys better. And as you can see, we crushed rounds 63 and 64 with this. This domination continued into the 70s, where we were able to buy the tax zone just in time for 75, which is a sneakily tough round. But here is where I didn't know what to do. Normally I'd save up for a super brittle, but we don't have that unlocked yet. I didn't want to spend a ton of money on the Prince of Darkness because we might struggle in the 90s if I did that. And if we went an Avatar of Wrath, it wouldn't have lead popping power, so we'd be relying on the Ice Monkey to de-lead every DDT, which is risky when it's only a tier 4. So we just started saving money. We saved all the way until around 86, where we finally came to a conclusion. Build a Spirit of the Forest as it'll benefit from the Popless, and we can make it a 150 which has lead popping power. We could afford this on round 87, and very quickly the track was covered in his deadly thorns. It did quite well in the late 80s and early 90s, so we just buffed our main damage dealers with some alchemists and looked for any places where more towers could fit. Unfortunately, there wasn't much room, so we got a first strike sub a bit early and then placed some more Popless. And this brought us to round 100. The final round of the challenge. We took out the outer layer pretty quick, and the ZOMGs didn't live much longer. But just like that, we black bordered Tinkerton in 2 hours and 22 minutes, 13 minutes ahead of schedule. Or did we? I was a little confused on how we shaved off so much time, so I went to go look at the black border and it was still bronze. We were missing a medal. Reverse mode. Now, I was very flustered and I stopped the timer, so we'll just time it in post. For now though, we have a mode to beat. I instantly placed a dart monkey up front, but that was actually the end of the track, so I panic bought 2 darts on the right and sold the one on the left. We backed this up with a boomer and eventually Hbomb. It's very weird now starting at round 1 with medium prices after taking on half cash Impoppable and chimps, but I'm here for it. Also, please forgive me for not moving my camera, it didn't even cross my mind at the time. But after this, we got our usual wall of fire, crossbow, and even made a bionic boomer on round 27. Something we haven't gotten for a while. From here, I wasn't sure what to get. This side of the map is different in that we can't put a bunch of towers right at the start because there are obstacles in the way. So we just upgraded our boomer to a turbocharge and planned on using its ability for any tough round. This, combined with a sharpshooter, should be able to pop any Moab heading our way, which was shown on round 40. After that, we got a necromancer and an overdrive. I knew it wouldn't be as good on this side, but I didn't know what else to get. So we buffed everything with a village and an alchemist, and then did something new. Instead of druids or something lame like that, we started placing bouncing bullet snipers inside the range of the discount village. These guys are surprisingly cheap and will counter most of the rounds in the 50s. We did this for the rest of the run, and were able to pop the final BFB basically the second it came on screen, officially giving us the black border 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 2 seconds after hitting play for the first time on this account, exactly 4 minutes faster than we did 2 years ago. I have a brand new account, and we're going to see how fast I can beat the boss. The timer starts when we hit play, and it'll stop when we pop the tier 5 Vortex. Because it's my first time booting up the game, we had to go through the tutorial. This wasn't too much of an issue though, because we put a dart monkey at the start of the track, turned on auto start rounds, and turned off game hints. These options will save us a ton of time going forward, and as long as we keep placing our monkeys near the start, we'll get through the tutorial in no time. We put 3 dart monkeys up front and unlocked their long range darts upgrade once we had the XP. I figured we'd want crossbows in the future, so I started down this bottom path. Then, at the start of round 4, we left the tutorial early by exiting to home. I don't know why this is an option, but I'm not complaining. Just 1 minute into the run and we're already jumping into our first real game, which is Monkey Meadow on hard. The reason for this is that each level gives us more experience towards unlocking monkeys and upgrades, so we want to play on a difficulty that we can beat quickly but also provides a good amount of XP. So this was the nice balance that we came up with. We started off with Quincy in the center of the track. It is faster to have your monkeys up front, but we had to put Quincy in the middle to prevent us from leaking, wasting lives and time. Think of Quincy as our safety net in the middle of the map. With this, we started placing dart monkeys at the very front. We got 2 of them down before unlocking the tack shooter. This guy is great at speedrunning rounds, as groups of them can shred through Moab layers quickly, and you can have other towers clean up the insides. So we placed 2 down right below the track. A quick tip is that these guys do way better when placed below the track, as their tacks originate above where you place them, so more tacks can hit the balloons when they're placed like this. Anyway, I wanted to have an even split of dart monkeys and tack shooters throughout the early game, because a common problem is getting all of your experience on one monkey and relying on it to beat the first game. But the more we rely on it, the higher percentage of experience it gets, snowballing how reliant we are. So we're spreading out the XP this time around. We unlocked more tacks on our tack shooter on round 10 and made both of them 001s, increasing their tack count from 8 to 10 per attack. Then we went back to the dart monkey and placed 1 up top, as there was still room for a tower up there. At this point, we were popping the balloons right at the start, cruising through the rounds. Quincy barely had to pop anything, and it didn't really matter when he did. As long as it wasn't the last one of the round, it wouldn't slow us down. On round 12, we unlocked the Boomerang Monkey, a great tower for speedrunning, as its top path crushes dense rushes of balloons and its middle path has an ability that can pop Moabs quickly. For now though, we're going to focus on the tack shooter. We got a 3rd one down on round 13, unlocked even more tacks, and made all of them 002s. So now they shoot 12 tacks every time they attack. This let us pop rounds 14 and 15 very quickly, and we unlocked the bomb shooter. I figured we should probably get this guy now, as we'll need him for the leads coming on round 28. The worst thing we could do is forget about these and accidentally lose to them because we have no lead popping power. We let this run until round 18, where we got down 2 boomerangs next to Quincy, just as a safety net for when rushes get past our towers up front. This wasn't really needed at the time, but I'm glad we had them down for the early 20s. This is when stronger balloons like whites and blacks start coming, and they can be difficult to deal with, especially with low tier towers like what we have. So these weren't the fastest rounds, but we did manage to pop everything. Soon, camos and leads will start coming, so we spent most of our money upgrading our dart monkeys to 022s, placed a bomb shooter up front, and set it to strong. This way we can handle the camo rounds, be prepared to upgrade the dart monkeys to crossbows, and our bomb shooter can take care of the lead layers. Or so I thought. Because of where it was placed, the bomb shooter was too slow to get every lead balloon. This caused me to panic buy a bomb shooter for the final 2 leads, and I misclicked, so we also bought a boomerang on accident. Thank goodness we had enough money to afford both of these monkeys, and with the second bomb shooter we were able to beat the round. This gave us the experience to hit level 7, which is when we can start unlocking military monkeys. The first one we unlocked was the sniper, and we instantly placed 2 of them down. Not only are these guys amazing at speedrunning, but we'll be using all of their upgrades in our fight against Vortex, so we need a ton of experience on them. After getting them down, we made a few changes to our defenses. We sold the boomers next to Quincy to replace them with dart monkeys for more camo detection. We sold the bomb shooter once we unlocked FMJ on the snipers, as they can easily pop all the leads, and we made all of our dart monkeys up front 023s. At this point, we got enough experience on the tack shooters to make them all 203s, drastically increasing their DPS. And by the time the Moab came on round 40, we also upgraded our only boomer to a 022. But this setup popped the Moab pretty quick, as we used Quincy's rapid shot ability to deal some burst damage, popping everything before the balloons made it to the second loop. The 40s aren't too challenging as long as you have camo detection, but they do provide a good amount of money. Here, we're just waiting on tier 4 upgrades for attack shooters and dart monkeys, as both of these will make us much stronger. While we waited though, we got down a few more boomerangs, making them 0.32s in the late 40s. These provide some solid defense that'll be nice for the 50s if we still don't have the XP for overdrives or sharp shooters. During this time, we also made our snipers 2.20s and kept them set to strong. On round 50, we could see how much stronger we've gotten in just the past 10 rounds as we popped the Moab here before the first turn. And after doing so, we finally unlocked our first tier 4 upgrade of the run, Sharp Shooter. We instantly made the 2 dart monkeys by Quincy 024s and unlocked the ninja. While he won't be very useful for this run, we'll be using him a ton going forward as he's a great starting monkey, and we might use his sticky bomb upgrade against Vortex. We got 3 ninjas down to start gaining experience and then spent a good chunk of change upgrading the crossbows up front to sharp shooters. I was afraid to do this earlier because it'll make the dart monkey get the majority of the XP, as this gets split by how much money you've spent on each monkey. But we had a lot of money saved up and I wanted to keep our time down. Right as around 60 BFB headed our way, we upgraded both our snipers to 230 bouncing bullets, which will provide great global damage, especially against packs of balloons. With this, we popped the round before the insides even made it around the first loop, and we didn't even have to use Quincy's level 10 ability to do so. But this brings us to round 63, and I was too busy reading chat to realize we were on this difficult round. The only thing that alerted me was how far the first ceramic rush was getting, so I used Storm of Arrows to take them out. Then, I panic bought 4 glaive ricochets to take out the round. Luckily, this was enough, but it was a little too close. We popped the next few rounds pretty quick, and on round 66, we finally got what we've been waiting on for 30 plus rounds. Overdrive. Instantly, we made our tack shooters up front 204s, and any blimp that spawned was shredded in seconds. Not even BFBs could get past these guys. But now it was time to get some Alchemist XP, as their top path is elite for almost every mode in the game and will want lead to gold for some extra money versus Vortex. But this setup let us coast for a while. We upgraded our 2 elks whenever possible, and we placed 3 druids in the back to start their XP journey. We'll likely get an Avatar of Wrath during the boss fight, so we might as well start now. Round 75 was the hardest one we faced during this time, but even here we were able to pop everything reasonably fast, and we saved Storm of Arrows to insta-pop round 76's massive rush of Regrow Ceramics. After which, we unlocked more glaives and turbocharge on our boomer. Over the final few rounds, we spent all our money. We made 2 of our boomers 402s, upgraded both snipers to supply drops, heck, we even got down a mortar monkey. But that brought us to round 80 and the ZOMG, which we popped at the first turn of the map, beating hard mode on Monkey Meadow, unlocking the village, and getting 200 monkey money in the process. With this win, we unlocked carts and darts, booted up hard mode, and hit play. We placed Quincy in a safe spot to get past the first couple rounds, and then we got a sniper at the back of the track. While not the fastest start, this is a super safe way to not accidentally stall the rounds by letting a single Dreadbloon go around a loop all by itself. Anyway, we had some deciding to do for what monkey we wanted XP on next. I was between the ninja and tack shooter, but then I remembered the druid. We'll need plenty of upgrades on this guy, plus he's an expert at popping the early rounds quickly. We got 2 of them up front and added a ninja next to them. This let us be more prepared for camos while also unlocking the Druid of the Jungle upgrade on round 21. So the second we had the money, I sold one of our druids and made the other a 130. This guy's vine will single-handedly pop the early game for us. With this freedom, we spent more money on our ninja and buffed him with a 201 alchemist. While not the best, it was the most expensive elk we could make at the time. We let this run for several rounds, but to prepare for round 40, we placed an overdrive right below the track and a glaive ricochet over by Quincy. This will pop the Moab layer quickly and give us some crowd control in the middle of the map. While I wanted to keep getting Druid and Ninja XP, we recently unlocked 2 of the most important towers of this video, the Banana Farm and Monkey Village, both of which we need tier 4 and 5 upgrades for. So we got these down in the 40s, but this current setup led us pretty weak to camo balloons. In fact, there were a couple rounds where camos made it over halfway through the track, wasting some time. To deal with this, we picked up a bouncing bullet sniper and buffed it with an alchemist. And here is where everything got way easier. We unlocked Berserker Brew, the upgrade that makes the alchemist the powerhouse that it is. With just one of these guys, we are back on top of the balloons, letting us get another farm down for extra passive income. I didn't want to get too distracted from speedrunning though, so under the effect of the village, we upgraded our other elk to a 301 and started spamming bouncing bullet snipers. We kept them buffed as best we could, and we were crushing the rounds. The overdrive would take out Moab layers, and the snipers would do the rest. So we placed down 2 more double shot ninjas in attempts to get a Bloon Jitsu. I probably should have put more overdrives here to help with the fortified Moabs in the 60s, but oh well. Instead, we upgraded our Elks and Snipers to stronger stims and supply drops, providing tons of crowd control, and in the 70s, we started working on a single target sniper, slowly making him a 205, our first tier 5 upgrade of the day. It was just in time to tear apart the BFBs on 79 and the ZOMG on round 80. But with this, we beat Carts and Darts on hard in under 30 minutes, got 400 monkey money, and unlocked the Dartling Gunner. Something we'll use a lot going forward as we want that mad upgrade for Vortex. But before we jump into another game, there's a quest we need to do. Keeping up with Biker Bones, as it only takes a couple minutes and gives us some monkey money that we need to unlock Benjamin, as well as for getting monkey knowledge points later on. We started this race with 2 boomers and started sending the rounds. This was a bit aggressive though, scaring me enough to activate ETN's drone swarm. This pushed all the balloons back and let us get down a 130 druid by round 24. This guy is a race champion as he tears apart large rushes. Then we got down 2 glaive ricochets for anything that gets past the druid. From here, we really only needed to worry about 2 things: camos in the 30s and the Moab on round 40. To deal with the camos, we got 2 crossbows in the middle of the map, and for the Moab, we slowly made a 204 tac shooter. And with these, we beat the quest in just over a minute real time. Not bad for 500 monkey money. But now it was time for an advanced map, and we chose off the coast. Up there with Cornfield for the easiest advanced map, but we can beat this one much faster as you can't place monkeys at the front of Cornfield until you remove some obstacles. And we wanted to work on our water monkeys for the first time on this account. If you're wondering why we keep unlocking harder and harder maps, it's because they award more experience for the same rounds, so we can unlock our monkeys and upgrades faster. Anyway, we threw on Oben and headed into a medium game. Although hard awards more experience per hour, I wasn't sure if we could beat it with our current upgrades and no monkey knowledge. So I figured this was a good place to play it safe, as losing halfway through a game would be a huge mistake. We started with Oben and quickly placed down both water monkeys. While we won't use the sub much, we do need it for future runs on Dark Castle, and the buck is something we need a ton of XP on, as we'll be boat farming against Vortex. With this in mind, we got down a second Buccaneer, made one of them a 220 and the other a 012. This gives us great damage for the early game, as well as being able to pop every type of balloon. This was probably enough to let us save up for an upgrade like the Destroyer, but what gave me the confidence to pull the trigger on this big save up was the fact that we had Oben placing down brambles right behind our boats, so any little balloon that gets past will surely be popped quickly. With that, we saved up and made one of our bucks a 320 on round 29 and made our submarine a 200. The goal is to make him a submergence support by the time camos become a problem, but because he's so cheap, I'm not sure we'll get enough XP on him. So for now, it's up to our Crow's Nest Buck, the Submarine, and Brambles to pop all the camos. This should be fine until the 40s, so we put 2 Druids next to Oben and made them 013s. We'll want an Avatar of Wrath for the boss fight, so we might as well get some Populus this game. Unfortunately, I was too busy trying to find the best spot for our village to put Brambles down for round 37. So an easy round got through, wasting time and bringing us down to 113 lives. Not a big deal, but it sure made me happy we were on medium mode, as we would have leaked way more by now if we were on hard. Anyway, we still didn't have the XP for a submergence support, so we placed a village by the Druids with plans of making it a 220, and we got a base factory at the back of the track just in case. This will pick up any leakers, as well as start getting XP towards Spike Storm, a great boss killer. This brings us to round 40, where we sold the submarine to get jungle drums on our village, and we popped the Moab right next to the Druids. Then we made our village a 220 before any camos came in the 40s, and made our other boat a 013 merchantman for extra money. From here, we placed down 3 more Druids of Wrath, got our submarine back, and waited to unlock some upgrades. This took some time, but on round 51 we got access to Populus and spent all of our money upgrading our Druids to 014s. Then we finally got submergence support on our submarine, so our destroyer can help out with camo balloons now. This basically guarantees victory, so we started picking up towers for more experience. We got down another village, 2 farms, and a super monkey. This last guy is especially important because we'll need to get sun temples if we're going to have a chance against Vortex's tiers 4 and 5. But with that, we popped the BFB just 41 minutes into this account and headed over to Dark Castle on medium. Just like last time, we started off with Oben and placed down a submarine. We made him a 202 as fast as we could, as this is the easiest way to beat the early game on Dark Castle. Then we just gave him some extra vision by placing down 2 camo detecting dart monkeys and got another 202 submarine. This gives us a ton of flexibility going forward, as we can basically get any monkey we want here and we won't lose. So we finally started getting XP on our Dartling Gunner. We put him on top of the castle wall and had him shoot down the center of the map. Then we got a banana farm before focusing on round 40. For this round, we upgraded our subs to 203s and buffed them with a berserker brew and a jungle drums village. This, combined with some brambles, was more than enough to pop the Moab and move on to the money-making 40s. We upgraded our Dartling whenever possible, but the pressing matter was to replace the subs with something better. We won't be using them much for Vortex, so I wanted to sell and replace them with something that we will use. In the late 40s, we decided to sell the subs and replace them with a 220 Spectre and a couple bouncing bullet snipers. This was a pretty fair trade against ceramics and lower, but we will struggle with Moabs in the 50s. We solved this with a 204 sniper, set it to strong, and then got our Spectre to a 320 spiked balls. From here, we just placed Hbom's wall of trees anytime they were close to full and focused on getting engineer and Dartling XP. To round out the game, we removed all the trees to make our snipers better, and we pretty easily popped the round 60 BFB. Just like that, we beat our first expert map, but we still had several things on the list to unlock before starting Vortex. At a minimum, we needed to get Benjamin, the Mad, Trade Empire, Central Markets, Bloon Trap, Overclock, BRFs, and Sun Temples. This shouldn't be too long though, as we can just beat Off the Coast on hard a few times and get tons of experience. So that's what we did. The first time through, we focused on boats, beating the early game with a destroyer, and we got through the 40s with a Bloonjitsu Ninja, buffing both with a 220 village. From here, we got 2 marketplaces for farm XP and upgraded our destroyer to an aircraft carrier. This will beat most of the rounds for us as is, giving us the flexibility to get our lower tier monkeys down. To take advantage of this, we got 2 super monkeys and upgraded them whenever possible, picking up the likes of epic range and knockback. This provides a good amount of support currently and lets us spend more money on them. Then we finished off the game by placing a ton of sentry gun engineers, 4 Hydra rocket pods, and 2 more supers. An odd way to end a run, but with this we easily beat Off the Coast on hard, which gave us the monkey money to get Benjamin. We ran this game mode back again, but this time starting with a sub and engineer. The Bloon Trap is essential to our farming, so we have to get it before starting the boss fight. But this let us save up for Hbomb and eventually make our engineer a 203 double gun. We sold our submarine in the process as we don't need any more XP on him, and this engineer is more than enough to handle the rounds on his own. Plus we have Hbomb for the camos and leads coming soon. Preparing for round 40, we got a 120 Dartling gunner, 4 druids, and an alchemist. From here, we buffed everything with a village and made our way to getting 6 Poplus druids. This is a very common chimp strategy, and we were using it to unlock the Avatar of Wrath. While waiting for this upgrade, we started placing down rocket storms. We had about 2.5 of them down before unlocking the final druid upgrade, the Avatar of Wrath, so we sold all of our druids and replaced them with a 320 Sun Avatar. This way we could continue popping the rounds, but instead of getting worthless druid XP, we'd get useful super monkey XP. We buffed this guy with an alchemist and spent the rest of our money on Dartling gunners, easily cruising through round 80. On to our last run before Vortex. We started off with the engineer again as we only needed a little more experience on him, and we backed him up with a sniper to reduce leaks. I should have placed the sniper a bit earlier to save some time, but mistakes were made. Anyway, from here, we made our engineer a 210 and saved up for Hbomb, getting him at the start of round 14. This made the game really easy, letting us get a Dartling gunner and super monkey down. This, along with a village and alchemist, barely let us beat round 40, but we were able to move on, slowly upgrading our super monkey to a 220 and then buffing it with a berserker brew. But this brings us to round 49, where we finally unlocked Overclock, the last upgrade we needed on the engineer. So we sold him and upgraded our Dartling to a Rocket Storm. This let us save up for a Sun Avatar, which we got on round 61. We might be able to win as is, but we backed up the Savatar with another Dartling gunner, letting us unlock the Mad on round 69. Probably the most important upgrade of the run so far. But with that, we really only need Super Monkey experience. So we sold our Dartlings, got down another Super Monkey, and worked on getting him to a Sun Avatar as well. Right before buying this upgrade though, it hit me. The only way we can pop purples right now is with our Alchemist or Hbomb's abilities, and I was not going to lose to purples just because I sold my non-XP needed monkeys. So we upgraded a village to a Mib on round 74. This is perfectly fine because we still have plenty of popping power and we want a little more village XP going into the boss fight, as we have the Monkeyopolis but not the Homeland Defense yet. Anyway, on round 75, we unlocked the Sun Temple, almost finishing every task we had. All that's left is getting the Spike Storm, so we spent the rest of our money placing down Spectres. This was more than enough to win, but even with a few rounds of these guys down, we didn't get the XP for this tier 4 upgrade. But that is no excuse to not head into Vortex, as we're an hour and a half in with almost every upgrade we want to unlock. We spent the next few minutes picking out what monkey knowledge points to get and trying to find the boss challenger, which was a little embarrassing, but at the 1 hour and 35 minute mark, we were into the boss event. We started off with a submarine in the top pool and hit play. This normally lets us get all the way to Benjamin in a boss event, but that's on my main account with full monkey knowledge. Here, it started struggling early. We leaked 13 balloons on round 4 and 5 more on round 5 as those early yellows were pretty scary. At this point, I wanted more defenses, but we were so close to Benjamin that we just had to trust the process and commit. Near the end of round 6, we turned auto start off for the first time this challenge, got Benjamin down between the rounds, and hit play. This was a great feeling, but we needed more defenses ASAP. We bought longer range on the sub with the hopes it could see the balloons on the first pass, getting way more attacks in, but it was just barely out of sight, so we kind of wasted some money here. Luckily, we'll need an engineer later on for a balloon trap, so we got him down and our defense problems were solved. After round 10, we sold the waste of a submarine and bought our first banana farm. If we were going to beat Vortex with this little monkey knowledge, we'd have to be super greedy. Luckily, that just means letting out my inner player 3, so it wasn't too hard for us. From here, we made the engineer a 0-1-2 as that extra range and pin effect are excellent at defending at this stage of the game. Next, we made our farm a 2-0-0 and got a new farm down on round 18. Luckily, Cubism is an easy enough map that our engineer could solo the round as is, letting us make this new farm a 2-0-0 as well. But then I got a bit too greedy. We had the money to upgrade the engineer and be perfectly fine, but I chose to get a third farm. That was definitely a mistake as round 21 blew past us, taking out 51 lives. Oof. This wasn't the worst thing in the world though, as we bought double gun at the start of round 22, shoring up our defenses and still getting this new farm to a 2-0-0 in the middle of round 23. And Benjamin is a high enough level to start giving us lives back at the end of each round. But from here, things went according to plan. We got our fourth farm up and running on round 25 and made it a 2-0-0 by the end of that same round. This let us get an alchemist up front and upgrade him to a lead to gold with only $63 left over right as the first leads came on round 28. Then we got down a crossbow in the top right of the map to handle any camos heading our way in the 30s. The goal was to place this guy far enough back to not steal any pops from our future balloon trap, but in a good enough spot to get every camo. We nailed this placement, and if that wasn't enough, we managed to place a village that will discount all 4 of our farms and affect our engineer going forward. We made this farm a 0-0-2 and started upgrading a farm to a marketplace, but then round 32 was upon us. While this round isn't an issue, we realized there's no way we'd have the money for this and a balloon trap by round 34, so we pivoted to upgrading the engineer. The crossbow handled all the camos just like we planned, and we were able to make our balloon trap right on time. This is an important round to get it on because it's the start of when tons of balloons start coming, so it makes a ton of extra money between here and the first boss fight. Then we went back to upgrading our farms, getting all of them to marketplaces by the end of round 37. I wanted another farm, but there was no more room inside the discount village's range, so we placed a buccaneer in the bottom pool and worked towards making it a flavored trades. This timing worked out perfectly as we made it a 0-0-4 right before round 39 ended. With many towers inside his range, we sold all our farms to make a 2-0-5 sniper. But we were a little short on money still, so we sold the buck, made the elite defender, and buffed it with an alchemist. This smoked the first tier of Vortex, popping him by the end of round 42, but I'd be lying if I wasn't scared every time his stun went off. He got really close to our sniper every time, and that was really our only defender, so if he got stunned, we would have lost and had to start over. Unfortunately, after selling our defenses, we didn't have the money to make a trade empire. So we put as many farms as we could inside the range of both discount villages and made them marketplaces. Not ideal at all, but it'll have to do. The nice thing about where we've placed everything though is we can get an overdrive right behind the balloon trap. This will pop most balloons that get passed when the trap is on cooldown, but more importantly, it's very good at popping Moab layers and hopefully the ceramics inside will be trapped, making us more money. From here, we made our alchemist a 104 rubber to gold and started working towards our trade empire, as boat farming is definitely the fastest method we have. After saving for a few rounds, we made a tier 5 buccaneer, 2 discount villages by the water, and started filling out this pool with 003 merchantmen. During this time, we also got a second balloon trap as the 40s and 50s have way too many balloons for just one trap to handle. This made us tons of money, but round 51 is full of camos. Now, we're perfectly fine defending as all of our merchantmen have camo detection, but ideally all these balloons get trapped. So we got down a cleansing foam engineer, placed its decamo right on top of the traps and continued on. This is nice as it'll become an overclock later, but it's a decent decamo for now. We continued placing boats down, but then the unspeakable happened. A goated chatter named Mark redeemed the rare VIP reward. Excited, I typed out the command into Twitch and accidentally hit live splits hotkey to stop the timer. Absolutely tragic, but we're too deep now to start over. No! What have I done? What have I done? I just started a new timer so we can do the math while live, but I'll time the VOD afterwards for an accurate result. Anyway, we filled the bottom pool with boats on round 56 and then worked towards making one of our villages a Monkeyopolis. This is great as not only does it make good money for its price, but it also affects tons of our boats and both balloon traps, so all of them will be making extra money. The only problem is that this brought us down to almost no money and we faced tier 2 Vortex in a couple rounds. Through round 60, we didn't spend any more money on farms or boats, instead we just got a rocket storm near the back of the track. This left us with about 17k when Vortex appeared for his second fight, so we needed 43,000 more dollars to take him down. I wanted to just wait it out and generate the money via boats, but when round 61 started and we only got up to 28 grand, we realized some selling had to be done. Goodbye most of our boats, and hello Mad. This started chunking down Vortex's health bar, but without our boats, we were super weak to balloons. So we got a more glaives up front to handle any rushes, as that should be far enough away from Vortex to not get stunned. What wasn't far enough away though was our Dartling Gunner. On Vortex's second skull, it got stunned and several Moabs started chugging towards the exit. Luckily, Ben Trojaned some of them and the Mad went back to attacking before they made it to the end. Still though, I was afraid of it getting stunned again, so we aimed the Mad away, let Vortex turn the corner, and went back to attacking him. This let the Mad hit the last skull without being stunned right as round 63 started. Now normally one boomer can handle this round, but I wasn't sure with the balloons being sped up by Vortex's passive, so we got down a second 402 boomer to help out. With this, we popped tier 2 Vortex and beat round 63. From here, we sold our defenses, got down 20 merchantmen, and slowly started upgrading them to flavored trades. Because we had so many of these guys, we didn't really need any extra help defending outside of our 2 balloon traps. Sure, some balloons got kind of far, but if we really needed, we could always buy more grape shots for extra defense. We upgraded our last merchantman to a flavored trades on round 69, and then started our central market adventure. We need to get 10 of these farms down to max out their buff, as it'll drastically increase our income, as each one makes our boats provide 10% more money. This went pretty quick as we're finally hitting our stride in the farming game, and we got our 10th 024 farm down at the end of round 73. But now it was time to start BRF farming. We upgraded our cleansing foam engineer to an overclock, placed a monkey city in the top right of the map, and started placing farms down around it. I wanted to make BRFs right away, but we were short on XP. Barely short, because after just one round of waiting, we unlocked the BRF upgrade. Talk about perfect timing. With this, we spent all of our money making 3 of them BRFs. Normally, you'd make an overclock every time you make a BRF, but because round 76 is so short, overclock wouldn't be off cooldown in time for the round anyway. So we just used the money made on 76 to make a 4th BRF, and then get up to 4 overclocks to keep the perfect 1-to-1 ratio. From here though, it was time to save up for some defenses. At the end of round 79, we had $219,000 and plans of making a Mad plus a Sun Temple. But before I could line everything up, I accidentally hit play. Oops. So we scrambled to getting a Mad, overclocked it, and made our Super Monkey in the middle a Sun avatar. This looked like it could pop Vortex in time, but clearly our Savitar would constantly be stunned and we'd be overwhelmed by the balloon rushes. So we got down another Savitar, this time in a spot that won't be stunned, and continued firing away at Vortex. We still had 200k to spend though, so I frantically placed down a couple BRFs in the middle of the fight and gave the Mad a permabrew for even more attack speed. While not the cleanest way we've ever popped a boss, we managed to beat his tier 3 by the end of round 83. Then we proceeded to sell the Mad in permabrew and make a Sun Temple. One funny thing that happened here though was that we didn't have any expensive primary monkey upgrades unlocked, so we actually made it a 0111 temple, something I've never seen before, but I'm sure it'll be fine. We had to finagle a few things around to get everything to fit, but we managed to get it done. This, combined with the MIB, was more than enough to defend for a while, so for the next 8 rounds we spent our money filling the map with BRFs and overclocks, making as much money as we possibly could. Then we sold our 1 farm Monkeyopolis down bottom to make a massive one in the top right. While not as efficient as it used to be, a huge Monkeyopolis like this will help us make way more money going forward. Then we just filled the map back up with BRFs and popped the next few rounds. On round 94, we made another Sun Temple, this time in the bottom left, but it's close enough to affect the first. This guy is also a 0111, meaning we gave it military magic and support sacrifices when creating it. But with this setup, we coasted to round 100 and the 4th tier of Vortex. We placed down a 205 Elite Defender, gave both of our Sun Temples a permabrew, and placed down a Mad. This looked promising right off the bat, but most of our towers are right next to the track, making them prime targets to be stunned. The first skull stunned one of our temples, the Call to Arms village, and the elite defender. This slowed our progress a bit, but between our other temple and the med, we were able to defend and chunk down Vortex until everything was back online. We basically repeated this for the second skull, but what was scary was the third. Vortex was right between both sun temples, and if it stuns both, we might actually leak. Luckily, the second one was just out of its range, so we were just fine. Better than fine actually, because our elite defender didn't get stunned this time around, making the final fourth of its health even easier. And with that, we popped the second to last Vortex tier on round 106. There wasn't much to do between here and round 120, so we just overclocked our BRFs and made as much money as possible. This turned out to be over $4 million, so we were in a decent spot going into the final boss fight. If we had Paragons unlocked, I'd be stoked, but we'll work with what we have. We sold basically everything, just keeping our Sun Temples, Permabrew, and Overclocks up top. I wanted to keep a bunch of these guys outside of stun range so we can overclock as many of our towers as possible. From here, we made 3 more Sun Temples around the map, buffed them with some villages, and filled in the open spaces with 204 snipers. At the start of the day, I planned on these being Spike Storms, but we didn't get enough experience for that upgrade. This took about 3 minutes to complete, but I figured spending a little extra time to not leak was worth it. Anyway, once we finished these upgrades, we hit play. Right off the bat, I was scared as Vortex's health wasn't moving, but he must have still been invincible from his spawn animation as a few seconds later his health started plummeting. We overclocked as many useful towers as we could, but boy was it hard to see. His first skull went off in the middle of the map and I had no idea what towers were stunned. I could guess, but I couldn't see. To solve this, we turned the effect slider all the way down and continued to fight without projectiles, making it much easier to see what was stunned and what towers we should overclock. Our progress slowed a ton every time a stun went off, but it was clear that as long as we didn't leak other Bloons, Vortex wouldn't be an issue. We kept sending him back right as he was getting to the first turn, so we knew we had the damage. But we managed to pop Vortex on round 123, just 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 11 seconds after hitting play for the first time on this account.